So welcome, Christine and Lane, to the Zoom room. Glad you could be here. So just let's have a look at our teaching for today. Have a look at the email and quote for today, which is a nice lead into today's lesson, which is all about defenselessness, being defenseless, and what defenselessness really means. It's not just not fearing, it's actually about not planning, which is quite interesting. Planning is a defense against the truth. Okay, so let's have a look. Right, so just gonna give me a moment to get the email up.
I'll read it.
Yeah, you can
Plan the flights and fly the plan. I've got in my kitchen, work your plan. And your work and work your plan.
Yeah, similar idea. Let me just share my screen with you, and you can.
But don't fall in love with the plan. Be open to a changing world and let go of the plan when necessary so that you can make a new plan. Then, as the world and the plan both go through their book of changes, you will always be ready to do the next right thing. By Lawrence
Gonzalez. So a nice quote, because he brings in the elements of planning, acknowledges, okay, so there's some kind of plan, but you're not in love with the plan. So John Lennon said, life happens when you're making other plans. That's another great quote in this context. That you can't plan everything. There's that ridiculous. Did you ever get exposed to that sort of goal setting methodology where they'd say, right, so you've got a 20-year goal, and then a 10-year goal, and then 5 years, and then 3 years, and 2 years, and 1 year, and you're going to break it all down, and it's all going to be very linear.
Yes.
Because life just doesn't work that way. How can you plan 20 years? You might meet someone tomorrow and everything changes. You have no idea. Life doesn't work that way. It's not a sort of rigid linear process. So I gave up that goal setting stuff years ago. I was like, really, it's just quite depressing. I remember the end of each year going, right, so what have I actually achieved? I set all these, big goals at the beginning of the year. And then you look at them and you go, gosh, I didn't do that one. That didn't happen. Because you always think you can do more, than is practically possible. So after a few years of doing that, I just gave it up. It's like this system doesn't really work of planning. It's much better to just go with the flow, be guided moment by moment. That doesn't mean you don't have intentions, but you're guided. There's no kind of outcome orientation. Oh well, by such and such a date, I should have X, Y, Z in place, because you just don't know. Life doesn't work that way. So this quote can help you to manage the apparent conflict between practically planning for the future and living in the present moment. So if you're living a so-called normal life in this world, there will be many occasions when some planning is essential. I've just had travel to do, you've got travel to do, you've got events to attend, if you've got kids, you've got they've got to go to places, they've got activities. It's to be some, okay, what are we going to do in order to do it? But practicing the art of letting go requires only the minimum planning necessary for practical purposes. So otherwise planning starts to take over your life and you find yourself mentally living in the future therefore not experiencing any of the divine benefits of love, peace, and joy, and having your attention focused in the here and now inevitably bring. So for a lot of people, planning becomes a way of life. It's a defense, and the planning is just a defense against the now. I've seen that in family members. Mentioned my father. No, we have to go at a certain time, and we have to plan everything. We have to do it, at least a few days in advance. And there's no spontaneity and flexibility, because that gives him a sense of security. So it's a mechanism that entrenches fear, and that's keeping you out of the now. And if I think of times we went on holidays, because of that quite rigid mindset, it sort of often ruined the joy. You couldn't just go, oh well, yeah, why not? Let's stop there. Let's go there. Let's do that. Let's spend an extra half an hour. Looks like a nice coffee shop. Let's enjoy the journey. No, it was like, right, we're going to the destination. We're going to get there as quickly as possible, and we're going to spend as little money as we possibly can getting there. So very like, and then we get to the destination, and then okay, now what are we going to do? You get there. It's like, okay, well, we're on holiday. We could have taken another few hours getting here. It wouldn't have mattered. So. Yeah, it's all perfect. You see the limitations of this thought system, and you learn from other people's experiences. And I don't want to be like that. I want to be much more intuitive, much more in the flow with life, able to, yes, have some idea of where I'm going, what I'm doing, perhaps, but then you flow. So within the structure, it's like focus and flow. Within some kind of focus in your life, it's not all chaos. Then you flow with that. So. Just I can only speak from my perspective, but this program, what I do, it gives some structure to my life. Every day I've got to do a live call, and there's an email and a text message that's got to go out. So those are things that I have to do. But then within that, I can kind of flow around it, and I kind of find a way to like, okay, well, today I went to a sports day and watch my son. Tomorrow I might be spending some time with some business guys, contacts who are out in the UK, and they might come down here, and so you flow, and that's part of what a rich fulfilling life looks like. That you're in the now, you can flow, you open to what's spontaneously arising. It's not all rigidly planned. As Yesha explains in today's workbook lesson, planning is really a defense against the truth, because it makes fear and the future real in your mind. So if planning is your kind of modus operandi, then really you got to look at it and realize that this is a way of controlling. It's a way of making yourself feel safe from uncertain future events. And if you notice that, then you can start questioning it and undoing it. A lady in South Africa called Patricia, she said, well, before she did the course, she used to make all kinds of lists, and it was, list after list after list. And you had to, like, life was about ticking the boxes and ticking off what you had to do. And then, you often hadn't done your whole list, so then you carried your list over to the next day. And, when she came to the course, she realized that's not the way. That's exactly what he's talking about. Planning is defense against the now. So let it go and just trust. And she said, one time they had, I think they were baking cakes, and they had to prepare for some kind of, it was some festival down in George, and they were baking like 100 cakes. And, instead of like saying, right, we have to have it all structured, they just went with the flow, and they said it worked beautifully, and, everything was done in good time and much more enjoyably. They actually enjoyed the process, which is kind of the whole point of life. It's not just about getting to the end result. It's about enjoying the moment by moment experience of it. Otherwise, what is the point? Okay, you got to your destination, but you didn't enjoy the journey. Well, what's the point? There's really no point to that, because life is just a journey. And even when you get to the destination, that's still part of the journey. There's no, until you're back home in heaven, there's no final point. It's just, well, I'm now here, and then that's going to change too, and that'll lead to another destination, and so on. So the future, since the future doesn't exist, because it's always the present moment, you are, by definition, if you're planning, binding your awareness to an illusion that will cause you to desire something other than what you have right now, perpetually. And you simultaneously fear that you won't get it or be able to keep it. So that illusion of expectations, craving, as the Buddha called it, and then the grievances, the disappointment that you have when your expectations aren't met, is the cycle of constant unfulfilled desire and fear that is the source of all suffering, which is the second noble truth of Buddhism, that insight. So I desire, and then the more I desire something, the more I fear I won't have it, and the more disappointed I will be, the more greater my grievance will be when I don't get it. And so desire leads to fear and to grievances. So then, the practically egoic person will say, well, come on, we've got to be, get real here. We've got to be practical. Practical demands of life. I have to plan certain things. Yeah, okay, so maybe. The answer is that you don't need to do it. It's not you who's doing it. When he says make no plans, you need do nothing, these kinds of statements. People often go, well, what does he mean? I just sit and twiddle my thumbs all day and meditate. No, he means you, the little you, do nothing. You don't need to do anything. The key is not to make it into the planning into an activity you invest with a lot of mental and emotional energy. So you leave the plans to the Holy Spirit. To do this requires you must experientially understand the difference between psychological and practical time. So it's quite an important distinction to make. Practical time, okay, I had to be somewhere at 1 o'clock because that was when Gabriel Sports Day started. So, if I was 2 hours late, that wasn't going to work. So practical time, okay, I have to be there then. But psychological time is when you hold a grievance about something that happened in the past, or you desire or fear an outcome in the future. And this makes the events you're thinking about and the timeline of consciousness in which they happen real in your perception. And that's the problem. So now you're time traveling on this timeline. Instead of being rooted in the now, connected to pure formless awareness, only present in what he calls the holy instant, you're now going back into the past, grievances, resentments, or the future, expectations, fears, desires, and your mind is not present. And so you're anywhere but now, and your mind is then caught up on the linear timeline. You think the past and the future are real, and that mindset keeps you going down that track to inevitable death and away from the now moment, which is where you'll find the truth. So very cunning, the ego's invented this whole structure, and it's invented time so that psychologically we'll get attached to time. So that we'll spend most of our time thinking about the past or the future and not being present. But the past and the future are mental constructs, they're ideas. The past is just a memory in your mind, mental construct. The future is expectation, imagination. It's all in your mind. So they don't really exist except in your mind. We have to start seeing that, being honest, saying that they exist only as mental constructs in my mind. And that mind is a false mind. That mind is a mind that is consumed by a false belief system. So all of that thinking, all of that belief is false. The only truth, it happens in the now. I can only know truth now. So in the now, I have access to this channel, which takes me back to the now, eternity, pure formless awareness of perfect love, source, knowledge, being, what is. It's all the same, whatever you want to call it. The names are just, the words are just pointers to this eternal awareness. That's always there, ever present, can never fade, can never die. And it's only accessible in the now. If you're in the past or the future, and you're planning for the future, for example, then based on, you know, past experiences, that's what most people do. Oh, well, you know, my past has told me that, you know, this is dangerous, this is potentially threatening, so I must plan it. Then you obscure the now, and you're not able to connect through the now into pure formless awareness of perfect life. So this psychological time is a device for strengthening and perpetuating the ego, or your belief in separation. That's all the ego is, remember. And it needs to be undone through the same mechanism as all other illusions, which is forgiveness or letting go of all thoughts and emotions that do not come from God or pure formless awareness of perfect love. On the other hand, practical time happens when you've let go of using time to serve the ego's needs, and you still need to plan for some future event. Right? So you go, okay, I'll do what's necessary without grievances, without fear, without desire. Well, I need to be there. Okay, I'll book a ticket. I'll leave on time. And there's no, I'm not out of the now. When I'm actually doing that, I'm very much rooted in the now. So that's using time practically rather than psychologically. And so maybe by example, this might become clearer. I'll give you an example of what I've experienced over the last couple of months. I went to a business trip in South Africa and then also Swaziland. So I had to travel. I had to take certain practical steps, to book train, flight, bus tickets online. But that didn't contradict the principle of having my awareness focused in the now. So I stayed present throughout the experience of packing, completing the live session we held on the day. I arrived just minutes before. I had to leave to catch a bus to the station, catch the train to London, but I'd been guided to book my train ticket online. So when I arrived at the station, after letting go of some momentary anxiety on the bus, I was like, okay, we're going to make it. And I was just like, no, you know what? It's going to be fine. I breathed, I let it go. It's like, okay, just surrender. The bus isn't going to go any faster because you're anxious. So it is what it is. And so I'd done some letting go, and I walked off. And as I got to the platform, the train, was literally arriving. As I walked in, there was a gate open at the side of the station, and I just walked straight on. It's like the train stopped. I didn't even have to break my stride. I just walked on. It was absolutely perfect. So all of that was a sign of flow. It was synchronicity, and I was told to book the ticket online for that reason. Although I didn't know why, because I could have got a ticket at the station. It only takes a couple of minutes, but 2 minutes would have been critical. I would have meant missing it, and that would have meant I was behind, and I would have been struggling to get on the flight in time. So then the flow continued. Arrived in Cape Town. Kim graciously gave me some really top class accommodation. It was amazing. And I just mentioned it to her and said, oh yeah, no, my husband's got to deal with them. And suddenly, 5 days became available. And then Christine, you kindly extended accommodation for a week, which is just sort of happened. And then went back to Johannesburg, stayed with my parents. And then I had to go down to Eswatini. And then the flow started again. So it's interesting. Flow happens when there's no structure. When I didn't have my parents, like, okay, I know they're there, I can stay there. Wasn't much flow there. But as soon as I had to go into the unknown, it was like, okay, so now the flow has to start again. So I'd found out about an annual music festival just a few days before. It's like, well, it's all booked out apparently, but it was a great networking opportunity because a lot of companies that I needed to speak to would be there. So 24 hours before, I was like, okay, well, it was a Friday. The festival started on a Friday. It was really the weekend. It's like, okay, is this going to happen? And I just surrendered. I said, okay, if it's meant to happen, it will. So show me the way. And then it just all happened. I mean, I did a few things. I spoke to my contacts in Eswatini, and they all, 3 of them were working on it. And one guy said, yeah, I've got a ticket for you the night before. And he drove, and he went to some guy and he bought it for me. So a ticket was organized, and then he said, "Oh well, I've just had a cancellation of my." He had a guest room in his house, just set off from the house. That had its own toilet and stuff. And he said, it was booked up, but they've just cancelled, so that's become available. And then I just had to get a bus ticket, which I didn't know was, just the night before. So I booked it, phoned in the morning, just after 7, and I was due to catch the bus at 8, and I didn't know if I had a ticket. Phoned them, yeah, you're on, great, okay, you just roll. And all the time I'm doing, all the work I need to do to get emails out and text messages out. So, but it's all happening in flow. So I'm guided to do what I need to do when I need to do it. And the Holy Spirit's planned it all, and it all worked, just really synchronistically in flow. I arrived there on the Saturday, which is probably the perfect time, Saturday afternoon. Spent 4 or 5 hours there, and made some good contact. And one of whom I've just sent a proposal to. So we'll see. But this is just my experience of it. It's not really about the details of it. It's about the principles involved in making it the flowing, stress-free and pretty enjoyable experience it was. So whenever I experienced any kind of stress, I let it go. I was like, okay, just consciously let this go, breathe, it's going to be okay. Everything's happening for me. I know the Holy Spirit's with me. It's guiding me. And, so it proved. But I had to consciously, sometimes correct.
Let's connect into the Metatron energy that is being with us all, whatever way you're working with it.
Just going to mute you. You've got your Metatron thing going on. So I can highly recommend. Okay, thanks. I can highly recommend pointing the Holy Spirit as your travel agent. But why stop there? Why not make it your personal coach, your wise counselor, your guide in life, your financial advisor, your personal assistant? Because it's an expert at blending the planned and the spontaneous into a beautiful mix of the planned and spontaneous, arising in a flowing way. That made my experience of this particular trip rich, enjoyable, fulfilling, and spread this light to other people along the way. So you become the light of the world, and you're carrying this with you, and showing by example. This is how you can live your life. To help you tap into this frequency of effortless flow, here we are today. We've talked about some of these principles, and there's a great recording, 3 types of forgiveness, how to overcome divine ennui, which can actually block the flow. So it's the sense of, well, what's the point in anything? That's divine ennui. If it's all illusion, what's the point of anything? And one can become a bit apathetic and lethargic, and if you stay in that. So the flow counteracts that. Miracles counteract that, because they happen in action, and they're often quite dynamic. Things are moving, but they're moving guided by the Spirit, and it can be very rich and fulfilling and enjoyable to be in that flow and experience it. And that's where you learn a lot of your most powerful lessons. So to let go of the divine ennui and engage in life is the way. Say, okay, well, let me be used for a higher purpose. It's not just about me sitting and blissing out. It's I'm being used now as a channel for this love and this perfect love and this light to come into the world. And so use me, guide me in all my thoughts, words, and actions in doing that. And then the flow comes in, and it becomes quite energizing. So it's the counteraction of the divine ennui. But if you want to explore that, listen to that recorded session. Okay, and that brings us to our workbook lesson. It's all good preparation for that. So Yeah, Elaine, any questions? I'm happy to go into the lesson.
Yeah, we'll go into the lesson.
Yeah. So
This is supposed to be the best lesson of the course, isn't it? Or the longest?
the longest, yeah.
Yeah, the longest.
I don't know that, but yeah, longest 26 paragraphs. So it's quite a
So John will,
we'll see how
John
we
should, see if John will come in and help us.
go. I think John is what's
Walking.
today. I think he might be walking. You know. I don't know if he's left yet. All right, so let's have a look at the lesson, which I'll just bring up quickly. So where are we? Lesson 135. Very simple lesson. If I defend myself, I am attacked. But he's going to unpack that for us substantially. So if you want to read, I think most of this can be in the alternative. There's not much to translate in this, so read the alternative to save some time.
Who would defend myself unless I thought I were attacked? That the attack were real and that my own defense could keep me safe. And herein lies the folly. Where have I gone? And herein lies the folly of defense. It gives illusions full reality and then attempts to handle them as real. It adds illusions to illusions, thus making correction doubly difficult. And it is this I do when I attempt to plan the future, activate the past, or organize the present as I wish.
Yeah, so what's he saying there in summary?
Well, what's the point of defending ourselves unless we thought we were being attacked? And we're making it real, the attack real by our defense. We think it's going to keep us safe. And this is where the folly of the defense is. It's making illusions fully real and then starts to handle them as real. Illusions on illusions, making it more doubly difficult. And we're in a right mess. Know that feeling?
So the more we defend against the illusions, the more the illusions become real. And one defense leads to another. And we put ourselves in a prison. It's a mental and emotional prison.
Yeah.
And then correction is doubly difficult because we've so reinforced that false belief system that now, someone comes along and says, well, it's all rubbish. And you go, how can it all be rubbish? No, I believe this. This is true. And we do this when we plan the future, activate the past, or organize the present as I wish. Well, that's quite all-encompassing, isn't it? Planning the future, well, we all know, how easy it is to do that. Activate the past. What do you think he means by that?
Well, we're just making it the past it right now in the present moment when it's gone.
Yeah, so we bring it into the now, and we recall memories from our past that now influence our present state. We have thoughts and emotions going on that are based on past experiences rather than just what's purely present now. And then we try and organize the present. So there's many people who will try and organize and control their world and their life as a defense mechanism. Makes them feel safe. So highly organized, structured. No, I've got to have everything in its place. Everything's cataloged and filed, and that's usually there's a defense against the truth there. Because they're trying to do that to make themselves feel safe. And often a lack of being able to just surrender and go with the flow and spontaneity. and the
Is that
joy.
not why we have insurance, like car insurance, just in case we get hit by another car?
These structures, he talks about them in the second paragraph, leads us nicely into this one. Because yes, exactly, he's pointing out that all of these structures are egoic. So you want to read number 2?
I operate from the belief I must protect myself from what is happening because it must contain what threatens me. A sense of threat is an acknowledgement of an inherent weakness, a belief there is danger which has power to call on me to make appropriate defense. The world is based on the insane belief and all its structure, all thoughts and doubts, its penalties and heavy weapons, its legal definitions and its codes, its ethnics and its leaders and its gods, all serve but to preserve the sense of threat. For no one walks the world with these defenses without having terror striking at my heart.
Mm-hmm. So what's he saying there?
Well, again, we've got so many defenses to so-called protect us in this world. At the end of the day, it's just putting terror into our hearts. We're not leading our lives in the natural way. It's all, based on an insane belief. All its structures, all its thoughts, its doubts, heavy weapons. But at the end of the day, that's making us even more fearful.
It's ethics, it's leaders, and it's gods. Interesting, because you're mentioning the other day the leaders. Well, look at the leaders of the world, and you look at it honestly. You see, well, this is all part of this thought system.
Mm.
They're not true leaders. These are egoic leaders. These are leaders leading us down the garden path of the ego, and we have to see it's a system. Right? We're living within a thought system that has become so entrenched and all pervasive that we think it's reality. We think there's nothing else. And this is the way the world is, and that's just how it is.
It's true.
But actually, it's just a false thought system, and all these manifestations of it, which he names. The structures of the world. You think of government structures, legal structures, the thoughts of the doubts. Oh no, you need to be careful. You need to, plan for the future. You need to make sure you have a pension. You need to have insurance. All this kind of stuff that goes on. That most people consider, well, this is just normal and sensible. It's all part of this thought system of fear. Legal definitions, it's codes, it's ethics. It's ethics. So what are the world's ethics based on? They're based on an idea of separation, usually. Not on perfect oneness. So it's a flawed ethical system.
The trouble is, it's the majority that believe in this.
Yeah.
So those that are...
This is the default thought system.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a shame because most people are now heading the other way. They want to live in oneness.
It's always been the case. The history is people have always been asleep predominantly. 2,500 years ago, there's the cave allegory by Plato. Well, to illustrate that, he's saying, well, everyone's asleep except one, his teacher Socrates, who'd awakened. He was the awakened one in the cave. He said, hang on, these images aren't real. So the people who awaken have always been outliers in society. Now more people are awakening than ever before, I think.
Yes.
As a percentage.
Definitely.
But it's still a minority. The majority are not awakening.
It is
still
a bit of a lonely world for those that are awakening, isn't it?
Well, not really. You have you have pure formless awareness of perfect love with you all the time, guiding you. And there's other people who are awakening. So there's communities like this one that form to help people to to connect with each other and share and awaken together. So and technology being what it is now, it's amazing. We can talk to each other. I'm in the UK, you're in Tenerife, Christine was in Cape Town. Anyone can join from anywhere in the world and connect. So you don't need to be, feeling disconnected and lonely, because the technology, that's probably the most powerful application of technology in this world is the ability to communicate across, thousands of miles and time zones, which wasn't previously possible. And so now, we can have a meaningful interaction and connection, even though we're, I don't know, a few thousand miles apart. I don't know how far Tenerife is from the UK, but at least 1,000 miles.
No, just over 2,000.
2,000 miles away. It doesn't matter. There's no, the limits of distance are no longer there.
No.
So the benefit of we've gone down this path of technology is that now that technology can be used for its only real purpose, which is awakening. And it can be used to counteract all everything else that the mind has made up, these structures and legal definitions and codes and ethics and leaders, and it's God's false beliefs, shall we call that? All serve only to preserve its sense of threat. So all of these are dedicated to preserving fear and keeping us in fear. And we see that that's the way a lot of people live their lives. A lot of fear governs their lives, and we're encouraged, seemingly, by the media and leaders and so on, to live in fear. And look at what happened with COVID. I mean, they encouraged us to be fearful, didn't they? And make this real by your defenses. So take all of these defenses. You're going to wear your masks, and you're going to take your vaccines, and wash your hands, and all these defenses, and all of that makes the fear real. You walk the world with terror striking at your heart. And then, interesting, suddenly everyone says, oh, it's okay to let it go now. So we don't have to take all those defenses anymore. And then there's no issue. Isn't that interesting? It's just a belief system. Okay, so COVID has disappeared then? No, it's probably still going on, but we're just not making an issue. We're not making
let it go. I know.
So nothing's really changed except a mindset. But you see the power of belief. When people believe in it, then all kinds of crazy stuff starts happening. And all these defenses that we invent are just part of the craziness of believing in the illusion of the threat and making it real in our minds. And that's what the defenses are designed to do. So all of that stuff that happened in COVID, the problem wasn't really the virus. The problem was the ego. It's a thought virus.
Yeah.
And the ego is just milking it for all it was worth and saying, right, now we'll get everyone in fear and the guilt that goes along with that. Because if you don't take the defenses, then somehow you're letting the team down and you're endangering everyone else. So then there's guilt that comes in, and it's just milking those emotions for all they're worth. All as a defense against the truth that we're still pure formless awareness of perfect love, and they're not affected at all, not one iota, by any so-called disease. Has no effect on pure formless awareness of perfect love at all. We've been called to recognize that. So, happy to move on to number 3. Defense is frightening.
Yes. Yeah, can it be brought up just a little bit more? Yeah. Defense is frightening. It stems from fear, increasing fear as each defense is made. I think it offers safety, yet it speaks of fear made real and terror justified. Is it not strange I do not pause to ask, as I elaborate my plans and make my defenses stronger and my locks tighter when I defend, and how and against what?
What I defend, yeah. What I defend and how and against what.
What I defend and how and against what.
Yeah, so let's just ask some questions, he's saying. You know, Sean, whenever you ask questions, you bring awareness into the situation, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
As I elaborate my plans and I make my defenses stronger and my locks tighter. Now, I come from a country where that's very literal. People like invest in these security systems, like cameras. My sister got like 7 cameras, and then your armed response and electric gate and electric fence. And you know, the more you do that, you make your defenses stronger and your locks tighter. You actually imprison yourself in fear.
Mm.
And it's, you know, that people will say, but you know, practically speaking, people, you know, you might get attacked. They don't understand that attack comes from you first. All attack is self-attack. So when you're attacking yourself continuously with these kinds of thoughts, then that attack is much more likely to manifest in the external. You're much more likely to have someone attack you because that's what you fear will happen. They don't understand that causation. The mind is causative. They think it just because it happens randomly. No, nothing is random. It's all, you know, based on your mind, your thoughts and your beliefs, which are the true cause. You can let go of those and find a freedom beyond, you know, these defenses. But you've got to let them go. You can't have some defenses and some fear and then also be free. It doesn't work. And then people will say, well, you know, what about, you might lose everything. You might lose your possessions. You might be robbed. Worse, you might be attacked and hurt physically or killed. You know, so, but this is all defending the body, as he goes on to point out. What are you really defending? So then he says, number 4, let me consider first what I defend.
Read that.
Yeah.
Let me consider first what I defend. It must be something that is very weak and easily assaulted. It must be something made easy prey, unable to protect itself, and needing my defense. What but the body has such frailty that constant care and watchful, deep concern are needed to protect its little life? What except the body's falters and must fail to serve the extension of perfect love as worthy host?
So he's pointing out here very clearly that it's the body that we're trying to protect. Yeah. I might be hurt, I might be killed, I might lose possessions, which then means that I'm somehow less than as a body. And really what we're defending is an illusion of a bodily identity. And we're protecting its little life when it's not real. So a very limited, weak projection of the ego's thought system. Something that's very weak and easily assaulted. Well, yeah, the body can be attacked at any point, can't it?
Mm-hmm.
Easy prey. Unable to protect itself and needing my defense. And think about coming into a body, particularly as infants. Like, you're totally defenseless. You've got no ability to take care of yourself at all. So what a setup. As he is telling you this is how the world is. Threatening, fearful, cruel, and your needs don't always get met. So this is all body identification, and fails to serve the extension of perfect love as a worthy host. Okay, so any thoughts on number 4?
Well, the body in the way this is putting it down is very, very weak and frail, that we have to have all these defenses to protect us. So it, again, just adds to the fear, doesn't it? Yeah.
No. But it's all, he's tracking it back. Every fear has a body identity at the core of it. If you just identified as pure formless awareness and perfect love, why would you fear? There's nothing to fear. Because that awareness is not a command. But as soon as you identify with the body, then you can be, apparently. And then fear seems justified, and the defenses seem justified. To defend this, illusory construct that your mind has attached itself to and now thinks is it. The mind it thinks it's a body. That's a delusion. Okay, so carries on the body, number 5.
Yet it is not the body that can fear, nor be a thing of fear. It has no needs but those which I assign to it. It needs no complicated structures of defense, no health-inducing medicine, no care, no concern at all. Defend its life, defend its life, or give its gifts to make it beautiful, or walls to make it safe. And I am really saying, my home is open to the thief of time and is corruptible and crumbling, and so unsafe it must be guarded with my very life.
Okay, so what's he saying in number 5?
Again, about the body. It in itself is just a neutral thing that it's it's the mind which dictates the body and assigns what it's got to do. It doesn't need all these complicated structures, health-inducing medicines. It doesn't need walls to make it safe, and all these, yeah.
And he's pushing lots of buttons, isn't he? It's like, because a lot of people are like, well, how can I do without my medication? Doctor says I'll die. Or war. I need a home, surely. I mean, come on, like, what's he saying? I should be homeless? But what he's saying really is, look at your attitude towards it.
Right, yeah.
A lot of people mistake, the course and say, well, this is too radical. He's telling me, I should become homeless or something. He's saying, look at your attitude to it. Do you think your home is really your home? Do you think this is really keeping you safe? Because it can't. The home, whatever walls you build, whatever structures you build, cannot keep you safe within the body, because the body is decaying, aging, and dying all the time, and you will eventually die. So it's not going to keep you safe. Recognize that. If you recognize that, then you live in a home. It's like, well, it's convenient to have a roof over your head and not get wet, and these kinds of things, not get wet and cold, and that's just convenient. But I'm not making it psychologically into a source of security. That's the key. So, you know, as I was saying in the expression, I think my lesson over the last, 3 years, really, 4 years, because I've been homeless and I've always had somewhere to be. I've never slept on the street, but I've been homeless and I've got no permanent home. But I think that's part of unwinding of my mind. It's like, okay, there's nothing here in this world that is permanent. You can rely on. And so that's quite helpful.
Eckhart Tolle, he was similar, wasn't he? Well, he actually was on a bench to the sea. You know, Eckhart Tolle. Yeah. He went through.
Dropped out and he stayed in shelters for a bit, and he was on park benches, and
he needed to do that.
It's happened to a number of people who've awoken because they're like, well, I'm not really that interested in the structures of the world anymore, and in homes and conditions and, you know, all of the security that the ego offers. That's not of any interest to me. I'm quite happy just sitting and being on a park bench. So I was in such bliss that he just sat there. And then, you know, he'd run out of money and he's like, okay, well, I better do something. So he'd go work a bit and he'd get some money, and then he'd stop and he'd go back and he'd bliss out. And, you know, anyone would say, well, that's a bit dysfunctional in terms of our normal social construct. You know, these people are seen as dropouts, kind of, you know, they're not playing the game very well, they're losers. And he said for much of his life, until he was about 50, you know, that's what people regarded him as. Well, he's kind of this character who can't quite get it together, and he hasn't made a success of his life. And his mother, you know, lamented as, oh, well, why don't you go and become successful and do something worthwhile? And then, you know, at 50, he wrote The Power of Now, and suddenly, you know, career exploded. Now he's, you know, a globally known spiritual teacher and speaks to thousands of people. And, you know, but it was like he hasn't really changed. That was his journey. You know, he had to, those years from when he was 29 and he awoke to 50, those 20 odd years were all learning and preparation for, you know, the next 20 odd years. I think he's now 74. So of his journey, where he became
very rich man.
Yeah, so, well, rich, you know, rich in what sense?
Yes, in the cash department, he's got plenty of money.
Now he has, but he didn't always.
No.
He lived below the poverty line a lot, but he felt rich. You know, he felt abundant. He was always in the flow with life. He never felt deprived. You know, he enjoyed he spent quite a lot of time in England, and he ran little workshops. And, you know, it sounds quite similar to my journey. You know, I ran little workshops and it was kind of hand to mouth, but I really enjoyed it. I really loved it, and the connections, and that was all part of the journey. It doesn't make sense to people who focus on money and material things, but
no. Well, his just happened organically, didn't it? It just happened naturally. He didn't go out to make money. It just happened to just become very abundant, didn't he?
Well, he got guidance. He got told. He was in, you know, this relates to the idea of not making plans. So I'll tell the story. He was in Glastonbury, living in a little cottage or something there, which he was renting, and he had to sublet it because he didn't have enough money to, you know, he had to rent out a room and stuff. So he wasn't abundant, but he was kind of just making ends meet. And then he got the guidance to go to America. It's like, go to the West Coast of America. It's like, well, that's a bit random. Where's that coming from? And he said that it stuck with him. That thought repeated for a number of months. So, you know, he listened and he went, and that's where he then got the impulse to write The Power of Now, and circumstances aligned. I think because he wasn't teaching, because he had like a little workshop business here, that freed up some of his time so he could then write it. And it was the right seeding ground for it, because you know, America is the home of entertainment and people like Oprah Winfrey and stuff. So he got on the Oprah Winfrey show, and then, you know, his book became a global phenomenon. It would never have happened if he stayed in Glastonbury. And he knew that. So, but he didn't know, you see, that the Spirit didn't say to him, well, you're going to go to the West Coast of America so that you can spend 6 months and write this, you know, spiritual bestseller. It's going to make you a lot of money. You'll get on the Oprah show. I didn't tell him any of that. Just said, go to America. Okay, I'll go there.
Yeah.
So he did. And, then the circumstances unfolded and he was guided to write the book. And then, the book did its own thing and it all just happened through him. He was just the channel. And then, obviously now he's huge success and he's got a number of, probably a whole team. But that wasn't the case to start with. He just followed the guidance. And, it all just unfolded without any, I don't think he wanted, he was never wanting material success. He just felt inspired to write the book, so it came from the heart of the truth. And that's why it was successful, because it had, a deep integrity and communicated, some of these deep spiritual principles in quite a simple way. And it was a book that was necessary for a lot of people. So, but he just followed the guidance. He did what he was, what he was told to do. And then it all, it unfolded. And now, hindsight, you go, okay, well, he's become, really successful. But when he was in his 30s and 40s, that wasn't, you could have gone, well, the guy's a bit of a loser from the world's perspective. Because he hasn't got any of the trappings of the world. He hasn't succeeded. He hasn't got money, house, car. I think he had a little car, but it was a little Lada, which weren't the Russian cars, which wasn't a great car. He didn't have any of that, but it didn't bother him, because he was doing what he felt called to do with his life, and then it unfolded accordingly. So, it's a good example of trusting the flow, and going with that, and not having any of these complicated structures of defense, not making any of that stuff real, just being open, to the flow of life, and going where it calls you to go, knowing that your home is always in your mind. You're never homeless, because your home is internal. Your home is in your true awareness, and then it can guide you on the level of form to be where you need to be and go where you need to do, and whatever needs to happen can happen in a flowing synchronistic way. So it actually works on the level of form as well, but without emphasis on the form. That's really the key thing. The emphasis is not on finding security in form, because the Holy Spirit knows you never will. Emphasis is on staying in true awareness and being guided, and trusting that guidance. That you will go wherever you need to go. You'll do whatever you need to do to serve this greater plan of at-one-ment. That's you become an instrument, you become done through, and there's no defense needed, because you already are. You know who you are. You don't need to defend that. You remain in the root certainty of that, rooted in the certainty of that, rather than trying to defend the body. Okay, so number 6. Happy to move on.
Yeah.
Is not this fearful?
Is this picture not fearful? Can I be at peace with such a concept of my home? Yet what endowed the body with the right? Is that, sorry, this you've got you. Yeah, right, to serve me in the way except my own belief. It is my mind which gave the body all the functions that I see in it, and set its value far beyond a little pile of dust and water.
Right.
Who would make defense of something that he recognized at this?
As this.
As this.
Yeah, so what's he saying there? Again, pretty straightforward message.
Well, yeah, the picture's, fearful. How can we be at peace with such a concept? And we've endowed the body with the right to serve this way and accept its own belief. And it's the mind that gives the body all its functions. And yeah, its value far beyond a little pile of dust and water. Yeah. So who would do such a thing?
Yeah. if you realize what it is, why would you seek to defend this fragile, illusory construct you call a body when you realize what it is?
Yeah.
Sets its value far beyond a little pile of dust and water. I mean, how can this be our home?
Mm.
We're eternal beings. How can this, temporary home of dust and water, as he puts it, how can this be our home where we live eternally? Well, it's self-evident. It's not eternal. The body dies.
Mm.
Body decays and dies. So self-evident. But yet we don't see it. Unless someone like Yeshua points it out, says, well, like, you really got to look at this and see that the body is not your home, and that it's only your own beliefs that are giving it the right to serve you as your home. But you don't have to believe in it. You can withdraw your belief from it as well. So my mind gave the body all the functions that I perceive in it. So it's a mental construct. Everything we think the body needs, food, drink, sleep, exercise, shelter, clothing, warmth, physical intimacy, all these things are needs invented by the body, by the ego, and then projected into the body.
Yep, that's it.
They're just asking us to see this clearly, and then say, well, why would I defend this? You would defend something, make defense. Let's just simplify that too. You would defend something that they recognized as this. Okay? So as soon as we recognize it for what it really is, then the defense must drop. We can't defend it as identity anymore. Which is why he's telling us straight, very directly, what it is, what the body is, where it comes from, what purpose it serves. Because when we realize that, we won't defend it anymore. Okay, happy with number 6. Move on to 7.
Mm-hmm. The body is in need of no defense. This cannot be too often emphasized. It will be strong and healthy if my mind does not abuse it by assigning it to roles it cannot fill, to purposes beyond its scope, and to exalted aims which it cannot accomplish. Such attempts, ridiculous yet deeply cherished, are the source for the many mad attacks I make upon it, for it seems to fail my hopes, my needs, my values, and my dreams.
Yeah, it betrays you in the end, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We think it offers us so much, but in the end we get old, the body can't support us anymore. All of our hopes here don't materialize. The body, because the body's whatever we think we wanted and are trying to achieve, the body's getting old, and we're going to die, and all of it just ends up decaying and going to death. And you look at old age as it progresses in people, and you see that, and that happens over and over in every human journey. That happens. It's saying to us, well, when are you going to look and really look and see what this is? Surely this should be obvious that you can't place any faith in the body, because it is going to decay and age and die, and it will betray all of your hopes, your needs, your values, and your dreams. So all of these exalted aims which it cannot accomplish. We think the body can bring us happiness, for instance. Think, well, if I get this as a body, I'll be happy. Let's say a special relationship as a body, then I can be happy. And this is going to bring me the love I yearn for and the happiness. But these exalted aims cannot accomplish, because it's nothing. It's based on a projection of a thought system that is false. So how can nothing bring you something of true value? Well, it can't. That's what he's asking us to recognize here. And it will be strong and healthy, and if my mind does not abuse it by assigning it to roles it cannot fill. Purposes beyond its scope into exalted aims which it cannot accomplish. And so if I don't misuse my mind and project all these false ideas onto the body, then the body can be functional. It's a useful vehicle. It's like a car. You won't need a car to get around. In this world, it's very useful, but it's not you. You don't think it's your identity. You don't value it as beyond what its true role is. It just helps you to get around. It's not your identity. There's nothing else than a means of transportation. In the same way, the body helps you get around in this world. It helps you do the will of God, helps you communicate with others, can heal and bless through the body. And that's its only real purpose. None of the other things matter at all. So only the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the body is meaningful. Okay. Any other thoughts on that?
No, that's clear.
Okay. Number 8. So self needs protection is not real.
Self that needs protection is not real. The body, valueless and hardly worth the least defense, need merely be perceived as quite apart from me, and it becomes a healthy, serviceable instrument through which the mind can operate until its usefulness is over. Who would want to keep it when it is usefulness is done? Right. So meaning when we're old.
Yeah.
But we hang on. We keep hanging on, don't we?
Why do you want to hang on?
We see people in their 90s.
Right, I'm going to.
Oops.
Merely be perceived as quite apart from me. So this is quite different from some other teachings that say, well, it's all about integrating body, mind, and spirit, and it's all part of reality, and you have to reconcile these. He's saying, no, the body is apart from you. It's not you. Quite apart from maybe my true self might be helpful there. Quite apart from my true self. My true self is eternal and immortal. It has nothing to do with the body that is mortal. It will age and die. So quite apart from me, it's an illusory construct. I seem to be living in this body for a while, but it's not the ultimate truth. So it can be a healthy, serviceable instrument through which the mind can operate until its usefulness is over. And that's all. So you become done through by the Spirit. And if you really surrender your body to that purpose, the purpose of awakening, then the body will serve you as a healthy, serviceable instrument. Sickness doesn't really happen. It's healthy, it's functional, it's fit. But if I think of my life, I'm 50. I don't look 50. I don't seem to have aged in the same way other people have. Well, why is that? You have to ask. And I think it's because I've given my mind over to this, this higher purpose. And then, I do on the level of form, I mostly eat correctly, I'm meditating, I've done lots of breath work, and I exercise, and that all helps. But that is a part of the mind correction. So, I'm not abusing my body, which a lot of people do by, consuming substances that are harmful for it, that are poisonous or toxic. I don't do that because what's the point? That doesn't serve any value. The body is just a healthy, serviceable instrument through which this work of the at-one-ment can now happen in the world. And if it's dedicated to that and that alone, then the body will be, as I said, healthy, serviceable. It'll play its part. It'll be a very useful vehicle in the world for you for a while. But you don't misidentify yourself with the vehicle. You're not the body. It's just there to carry you in the world and help you to do various things that you're here to do that are helpful for yourself and others in the awakening process. And then when its usefulness is done, okay, I'm not going to hang on at all. It's like an old car. It needs to be now sold or taken to the scrap heap because its usefulness is done, and I let it go, knowing that it's served me well in a way, helped me to awaken to the truth of who I am, and that that's what it's there for, to help you in your awakening and at-one-ment. Does that make sense?
It does.
So,
it does.
Very different way of perceiving the body, but this is the only way saying it's going to work, because otherwise you make it real, and then you have to defend it, and you identify. The problem we have is we identify with the body. The mind's identification with the body, saying, this is me. I am the body. I'm a body and not a mind. And so I'm a body, therefore I'm a separate identity. And, my whole identity is tied up with the body. Well, so what a fragile identity, isn't it? And it's always changing. There's no stability there, because your body is literally changing moment by moment. It's never the same one moment to the next. It's continuously aging. So there's no, security of identity there, is there?
No.
But yet people are attached to it, and they try and find some security, and then they try and defend. See, this is why defenses come, because I've pitched my tent there. I said that's my identity, and now I've got to defend that, defend my little territory of the body. And if someone seems to be attacking that, then I feel like I'm attacked, and then I must make defense. Hence the lesson. If I defend myself, then I'm attacked. So leads us nicely into number 9, defend the body.
Defend the body, and I have attacked my mind, for I have seen in it the faults, the weaknesses, the limits, and the lacks from which I think the body must be saved. I will not see the mind as separate from bodily conditions, and I will project onto the body all the pain that comes from the conception of the mind as limited and vulnerable, and apart from other minds and separate from its source.
Okay, so what's he saying there?
If we defend the body, we've attacked the mind. So we've seen the faults, the weaknesses, the limits, the lacks, which we think the body must be saved. So we don't want to, the mind. Sorry, I will not perceive my mind as separate from bodily conditions. So it's all just one, and I will project on. Just the body, if it's separate, is limited and vulnerable, and it's apart from other minds, and it's separate from its source.
Hmm. Yeah. So then I'm limited by the body, the faults, the weaknesses, the limits, the lacks. You know, all the bodily conditions, all the problems we experience in the body. I'm then seemingly bound by those. And then I project onto the body the pain that comes from the conception of the mind as limited, vulnerable, apart from other minds, and separate from its source. So the pain we experience in the body is a projection of the mental and emotional pain, the psychological pain of separation. And then it gets projected into the body, and the body becomes the mask, because now we focus on the body. You see how the ego works, clever. Now it gets us to focus on the body, say, well, the body's sick and you've got pain in the body, rather than on the real pain, source of pain, which is the separation in the mind.
Mm.
So it uses then sickness as a defense against the truth, which is our next lesson. So this kind of warms us up for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's move on to number 10.
These are the thoughts in need of healing, and the body will respond with health when they have been corrected and replaced with truth. This is the body's only real defense. Yet is this where I look for its defense? I offer it protection of a kind from which it gains no benefit at all, but merely adds to my distress of mind. I do not heal, but merely take away the hope of healing, for I fail to see where hope must lie to be meaningful.
Okay, so what's he saying here?
Allow thoughts of healing. Yeah. The body will respond with health when it's replaced with the truth. And this is the body's only real defense, is when you replace it with the truth.
Hmm.
But yet we look for it, its defense. And it does, well, it offers a protection of a kind, but it gains no benefit at all. It just adds more distress to the mind. So in other words, we just need to correct our minds and replace it with the truth.
Hmm.
So the healing, what I guess, looking for medicines to heal the body when it's really found in our source, our truth.
Yeah.
The
Healing
idols, the false idols, we think, medicine's going to heal us when it's really our true self, the source.
Yeah, exactly. My body's only real defense. That's where I look for its defense. So the defense is in the mind, not in all the structures. You think of all the structures we've invented to defend the body. Medicine, that's a big one. The whole medical system, defend the body. Does it work? No, the body's going to die anyway. Right? Medicine's just delaying the inevitable, isn't it? It's going to die anyway.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
So what about food? Good healthy food.
Yeah, well, it's all part of the construct of thinking you need someone, you need something outside of you. Well, in spirit, you need nothing outside of you. You don't need food to sustain your life. I mean, that's what a ridiculous idea. There can only be an idea invented by a thought system of scarcity and lack. Well, if I don't have food, I'll die. I mean, God, how fearful is that? So now I'm continuously seeking the substance I've got to put in to my body and feed it. I mean, talk about lack. You see, it's entrenched in our world and in our lives. Every few hours, you got to eat again. So you got this continuous hunger, continuous craving, neediness. You know, food. You need air. You need food. You need water. So
while we're in the body, though, yes, but while we're in the body, we will need those things, the basics.
Yeah. But don't make them real in your mind. Don't let them govern your thoughts and your emotions. That's the key.
Yeah.
Because then they become prisons for you. Oh, you know, if I don't have food, then I'll starve. Oh, now I'm in fear. No, because then the ego is using that to engender fear and confirm that you're a separate self who's very threatened. And a lot of people go, well, I need to work really hard to make lots of money to make sure that doesn't happen. Right? So it's another defensive structure. And then they might make money, but they've still got this fear of death going on. They haven't conquered that at all. Because no matter how much money you make or what defenses you take here, the body's going to die. Old people, you know, rich people die, poor people die, everyone dies. So it's the great equalizer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much money you have, how much advanced medical care you can buy, you're going to die eventually. So
but the idea is to have your 70, isn't it? You know, the 70. So if you want the 70, you still need your air, food, and those basic needs. You know, if you want to reach the 70.
Yeah. But do you really want to reach? You know, why would you want to hang around in the body longer than necessary? You could have.
Oh no, yeah.
You know,
I mean, yeah. Obviously,
yeah, perfect bliss right now. Why would you want to delay it? You see, so he's saying that all these things are just defensive structures that actually block the awareness of pure formless awareness of perfect love. Now, that doesn't mean you should terminate your dream early, i.e., commit suicide. Say, okay, well, I'm out of here. You know, forget all this nonsense. I'll just end the body's life. No, because the body can now be used in this enlightened state. It can be used by the Holy Spirit as a very helpful, serviceable instrument for your own awakening and to help others to awaken. It can be used to teach, heal, and that's then becomes its only purpose. And now it has a mighty function. And if you give it to that, then the body will be healthy and it will stay, you know, healthy and strong because it's got this purpose to fulfill. And it being sick and weak and aging and so on, it doesn't serve that. And so that's the way you stay, you stay young and vital and alive. You give the body to the true purpose of life.
But still yeah, but even like Eckhart Tolle, he looks quite young, but he's still, like you say, going to eventually die. So
yeah, but it's not an issue because he's not identified with the body. Right. You're like, well, death is my transition. It's graduation day. There's no identity, so I'm not scared of it. It will happen when it happens, and then there'll be just a gentle letting go and emerging back into my true awareness and a deep peace. Because he's accepted his true identity, so there'll be no resistance to the death process then. But if you think you're a body, then death is the most fearful event that can possibly happen to you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I fear it. So you fear what's actually going to release you from the imprisonment of the body, and set your mind free into pure formless awareness of perfect love. But you don't know that. You think that actually you're going to lose your life. You're going to lose everything.
Yeah,
Totally upside down, totally backwards thought system. Actually, that's your liberation day. That's when you let go of this body. That's the limit, and that's the projection of the thought system of lack and loss and sacrifice and death. You let that all go, and you go back in to your true awareness, which is unlimited, infinite, eternal by nature, well, why wouldn't you embrace that? Who wouldn't want that? It's only because of our body identification that we resist that. We still think we're bodies.
Yeah.
Then if we're a body, we cannot be eternal. Self-evident. If you think you're a body, then you must be mortal and you can die. Well, what a fearful concept of yourself then you must have. It's all perfectly obvious. I mean, if you look at it clearly like this, you go, well, why haven't we seen this long before? Why isn't this completely obvious to everyone?
They're just not ready, are they?
Well, because the ego's got another story and it spins that story so well and gets people to identify with their bodies and their separate selves that it obscures this simple truth and doesn't allow us to see it. Even though it's blindingly obvious, you just have to observe the world. Well, yeah, nothing here is permanent, nothing here lasts, everything decays and dies. And this happens over and over and over again. You see people aging all the time and dying. That's the nature, that's the nature of the dream, isn't it?
It is.
So why don't we see that clearly? Just be completely honest about it and say, okay, everyone dies. Okay, so what's that all about? We've created a system where everything and everyone dies. Is that really the truth? Could that be the truth of immortal life then? Is that eternal? No, obviously it's not. It contradicts eternity completely. Okay, so maybe then none of it's true. Maybe it's just an illusion. See, this is the simple logic that people like Yeshua apply. They say, okay, well, is this eternal? Is this perfect love? Is this eternally benign? Can't hurt anyone? No, clearly it's completely opposite. It can seemingly hurt. Everything dies. So, okay, instead of trying to reconcile that with eternal love, let me just recognize maybe that it's false, that there's a false reality and a true one, and then there's a clear distinction. And I don't have to try and reconcile these two seemingly opposite realities that are actually impossibly at odds with each other. You'll never reconcile the ego, the belief in separation and its world, with the pure formless awareness of perfect love and its world. You never will. They're completely opposite. The one denies the other. So yes, you're saying to us, fortunately, someone's really telling it like it is, finally, to us, saying, don't even try. This is never going to work. Just recognize what is false, see it clearly that it is false, and let it go. And then you embrace the truth by default. As your own true self. Okay, so we read number 10. Happy with that one?
Yes.
If I identify with the body, I just take away all hope of healing, and enslave myself into this very limited body identification. Okay, so number 11, a healed mind does not plan.
A healed mind does not plan. It carries out the plans that it receives through listening to wisdom that is not its own. It waits until it has been told what should be done and then proceeds to do it. It does not depend upon itself for anything except its adequacy to fulfill the plans assigned to it. It is secure in certainty that obstacles cannot stop it from accomplishing any goal that serves the greater plan established for the good of everyone.
Yeah, so what's he saying there?
Well, a healed mind doesn't plan. It carries all its plans through listening to the wisdom that is not its own. And it waits until it's been told what should be done and then proceeds to do it. It doesn't depend on itself for anything apart from just to fulfill the plans assigned to it So it's almost like a little robot, isn't it? The body.
Yeah, the body has no intelligence of its own. People say, well, my body wants this. No, your body doesn't want anything. Your mind wants. And then projects it into the body. And that's happened on such a deep level that we think, well, now the body's hungry. Because you get these signals from the body saying, well, now I'm hungry, or I'm thirsty, or I need sleep, or I need exercise, or whatever the need is. I need sex. But it's all the mind projecting itself into the body.
Mm.
And if we're identified with the body, then it's the ego mind that's in charge. Whereas if we don't plan and we just surrender, and it carries out the plans that it receives through listening to wisdom that is not its own. Right? So this is the plan of that one-ment. We're guided. And that planning looks very different. It's more like, in the moment, what do I do? Okay, in the moment, I get the guidance to do something, and it tells me, and then I do it. And then the next step unfolds. Okay? So it's not like I'm trying to plan this all in advance and work it all out. It's like, no, I don't really know. And I'm just being told moment by moment what to do. It's like a direct download. Okay, do that, go there. When David Hoffmeister was traveling around the US, he literally get instructions. Be like, okay, we're going left here. Take a left. Get off the highway now, take a left, you're going there. We're like, okay, we'll just, follow. And so that process taught him to just listen to the guidance, moment by moment, just being completely present to what's arising moment by moment. So it's a bit like a GPS, isn't it? Or sat nav, as you call it in the UK.
Yeah.
So no good getting the instructions for 10 minutes time now. That's just going to confuse you, isn't it? Because giving you instructions for 10 minutes, you get horribly confused because you go, well, that doesn't match the territory. So it's effective because it's right now. I'm going to give you the instruction that's appropriate for right now. Turn left in 100 meters.
Mm.
That's what you do right now.
That's where we all fail, don't we? Because we just, as you say, 10 minutes ahead.
You're trying to think 10 minutes ahead. You're not present. You
then get confused.
You get confused. You miss the turning. You go. We've all done it, haven't we? You're thinking ahead, and then you go, "Oh my goodness, I missed. Where was I? I wasn't present enough because I was thinking in the future.
Yeah,
10 minutes ahead, or a day ahead, or whatever.
Yeah.
When it's like, right now, I just need to be present. Okay, what do I do right now?
Mm.
And then you download. It's like you connect and you download and you get the inspiration. It says, okay, go left, go right, do this, call that person, speak to that person, and you're just being done through. Right? So you're like downloading. See, without any reference to the past or the future. That's the power of this. When he says the holy instant, what he means is that you're downloading directly from pure formless awareness of perfect love, and that somehow through the mechanism of the Holy Spirit translates into some practical, specific guidance that's helpful for you at that point in your time-space journey. That's extraordinary. That capacity is there is miraculous. That's the whole point. It is there. We don't really know how this works. How can pure formless awareness even be aware of what doesn't exist? But somehow there's this bridge in our minds that he calls the Holy Spirit that allows us to upload and download to the truth. And in the holy, we can only do it in the now, in the holy instant. As we time traveling, our minds are caught up in the past or the future. That's blocked, and that channel is not available. We can't download directly from this eternal wisdom that knows the whole plan. See, this sits above the whole of time and space. So it knows the whole plan of the at-one-ment. It knows exactly what you need to do and where you need to go for that plan of at-one-ment to play out on the timeline. So it's this extraordinary guidance system that can give you the guidance that you need right now, moment by moment by moment.
Yeah.
So, how lucky are we? Yeah, that's available. Yes, you've got this extraordinary, sat nav GPS system that's there. But the caveat is you have to be able to listen to it. If you're not listening to it, it won't help you.
Yeah. Well, you can tell when you're not listening to it because maybe you've got
That's when you get,
pain
you
or
feel
something.
lost. Yeah, that's when you feel lost, confused, in pain. If you're listening to guidance, everything's fine. It's like, okay, I know I'm in the flow. It's all happening as it should. There's no uncertainty. There's no confusion. I'm just following the guidance moment by moment. And I'm really trusting that process. And the more you do it, the more you know that is always available. It's always available to you. You can't be without it. You can never be anywhere without this source going with you. God goes with me wherever I go. It's one of the early workbook lessons. It's not possible because it is your source. It's your true awareness. It cannot leave you. You just have to open up to listening to it. That's the art of this. The art of letting go is letting go of listening to the ego and getting our attention consumed by the timeline, past and future, and opening up to this guidance in the present moment. And being able to download whatever we need with no reference to the past. There's no reference to your little past story, your history, your conditioning. And there's no reference to future expectations either. Just, okay, what do I do now? Ask for guidance, you clear, and then it comes. It's amazing. It always does come exactly when you need it. You get the guidance. And so the more you tap into that, the more you start knowing that, yeah, that's always there. I can always rely on it. And that's my guide. Why would I want to be guided by anything else? The ego is clearly, incredibly flawed. That's not a guidance system I want.
Yeah, I've noticed, well, yourself and Sally, I've noticed, she's also in that. I can see she is guided from that source, but the rest of us, it's work in progress.
Well, everyone has that capacity. So it's just daily reminding yourself, yes, okay, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna tap in. I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna let go and find my flow. I'm gonna be guided. And if you find resistance, we all get, I have moments, but then you correct it. You go, okay, just, let it go. Let it go and trust. And when you do that, it always works. And I've done it so many times that you start to learn that can, this can be relied on. It actually always does work.
Automatic, yeah.
Yeah, but I've had to, live this way for many years to learn to trust to this extent.
Was it the Vipassana meditation that also helped?
Yeah,
that experience. Yeah, that experience.
That experience. Really, I knew for that moment, I knew this was true. You see, pure formless awareness of perfect love was there not as a concept, but as a felt experience.
Right, that's the one, isn't it? Because
I knew in that moment that everything that I'd been studying and learning and practicing, suddenly it all came into reality in my experience. I was like, oh my God, that's what it is. And I didn't even think that. In that awareness, there was no thinking like, oh, I've arrived, or this is it, or no. It just was what it was. It was, and the name came to me afterwards. I said, well, how would I describe that state? Pure formless awareness. And then I added perfect love, because pure formless awareness on its own is too clunky. You need perfect love to make the course work,
Well, as Eckhart Tolle said, a vibrant being, isn't it? It's the vibrant peace that comes close to that feeling, I suppose.
Yeah, it was out of this world. You can't really describe it. It was just an awareness that was so pure and pristine. We try and use a word to capture it. And I realized that was it. That was the essence of what I'd been seeking my entire life. In that moment, that holy instant revealed to me and experienced fully for that moment. It only needed to be a moment. It wasn't more than I don't know. There's no sense of time. Maybe it was a few minutes. Maybe it was only 30 seconds. I don't know. But it didn't need to be more, because it just, one moment, as he says, one moment of that awareness awakens you. You're like, okay, I can't believe in the world of illusion anymore, because I've experienced something that's completely transcendent. So I think it just helped me to really internalize and experientially go, yeah, I get it. I know this. This is the truth. I've experienced it. And then the download I got afterwards was extraordinary. It was like, just like, sort of matrix style, just like the whole of the course almost dropped in. I was like, oh my God, I get it. Like suddenly I just get this. Like I understand the whole picture of it. Whereas before I was still, you're still in a bit of illusion, and it's like, it's not as clear. It's like a fog. And it's like, suddenly it's just like drop into your awareness, and you go, oh my God, I get it. This is why it's called the veil of illusion, because we've pulled over the entire world. This world of time and space is the illusion that the ego has invented to justify all of its thoughts and emotions. That's all that's going on. So it needs the illusion of the world to justify all of its negativity, which then covers over this awareness. And that's the only point of the dream. That's the point of the world, is to cover over that pure, pristine awareness.
Yeah.
And I got it. I was like, I get it. Oh my God, that's so. And I cried because it was so sad. I was like, how could I have done that? I realized that I had done it. I couldn't blame anyone else. I'd done it.
Yeah.
See, so that's the true responsibility. I'd done it, but because I realize I've done it, I can also undo it. I don't have to continue making that same mistake.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was life-changing. I remember that moment, forever. And as a result, I think this course and the program, literally within days of that, I started the next Art of Letting Go course within a week of that. And that has now, developed into this program. And so it was part of what was needed in order for it to, blossom into a program and a community that really can awaken people. That's what I wanted to facilitate. Like, okay, this can really wake you up. We're not doing half measures here. We're going the whole way with this. And it's not pandering to spirituality and say, okay, we'll just dip in and out. And it's like, no, it's a comprehensive mind training program to fully awaken you if you want that.
Which is what we all want. Yeah. We all want.
The people have resistance as well. So why is there only one person on the call? Because everyone's busy doing other things, aren't they? More important things.
Yeah.
But are they really more important than awakening? No, not really.
No.
In truth, that's the illusion trying to sidetrack us. So, I try and live this. It's like, okay, so every day we practice, we get together and we do what's really important, and we spend hours doing this work because it is actually the most important thing we can do to awaken ourselves and awaken others. And then, hopefully people in the community, if they're not here, they can listen and they can get some of that, and they can listen in, and it helps them on their journey. They can't.
We've all got our challenges, whichever way it is, and our obstacles that keep sort of, like obviously like there with my husband and his diagnosis and so forth. And I guess the others will have their own individual. We always seem to have this obstacle, but really all I'm doing is just doing, as it's saying, I'm defending.
But those obstacles are just the defense. They're just the illusion, the veil of illusion that the ego has pulled over pure formless awareness to cover it over. That's why it's called a veil. I understand. Suddenly I get it. I understand why they call it the veil. It just made it all just dropped in and made complete sense to me in that moment. It's a moment of satori. You're just like, oh, I get it. And then once you've had that, well, what can you do but teach it?
Yeah.
No, that's what you then end up dedicating your life to. Well, there's only one thing to do, and that's to teach it to others, to awaken fully to it myself. Don't forget it. go deeper into it and awaken others to it, because this is the truth. This is what will set everyone free.
But sometimes while you're in that awakening, sometimes you need to be alone, don't you? Because as many people now need to leave their partners. I hear many leaving their partners and so forth. Is there a situation where
I couldn't have done it in a family? I had to leave and go and do this spiritual work on my own and develop this course and this program. There's no way I would have done it living with.
But do you know anybody who's awakened, say, for example, where they have somebody who's got disabilities and or dementia? I mean, is it still able to awaken even though you've got the obstacle there?
Awaken anywhere. That's your whatever your environment is, whatever your seeming obstacle. That obstacle is exactly what you need to awaken. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
it's happening for you, not to damage you, not to sabotage you. It's happening for you. That is exactly the path to your awakening, if you can perceive it correctly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure there are. I don't know of anyone particularly who's gone, oh well, I woke through caring for someone with dementia, but the opportunity is there to really let go of the thought system of the ego, the belief in the body, self as the body, the other person as the body, the belief in sickness, the belief in aging, the belief in suffering, the belief in death, the insanity that dementia characterizes. All of it's got to be looked at and let go of. And so that's obviously your path to awakening.
Yeah.
We've all got our individual paths. No one's story is exactly the same, but whatever the experience is, you see, this is just a hypothetical timeline of someone living in the world, but these circumstances and events happen to many people. They've happened to people in the community. So it could very, very, very well be someone's life, but that is then their journey to awaken, to overcome these things, is then their pathway to awakening. Yeah. And it's customized for them. That's everything that they experience in their life is a projection of their own ego. That's their karma playing out. Put it in another way. Their ego, psychological and emotional attachments playing out. So they have to then use those to awaken. If they let go of those, then that's how they'll awaken to who they really are. If they hold on to them, then the karma is real, the ego is still there, and they just recycle, they'll come again. Okay, well, you've still got the psychological, emotional attachments that lead you to reincarnate, so back you come and you have another life, and you go through another life where there's this kind of stuff plays out. Your karma plays out in another life to give you another opportunity to awaken from it. So it goes. And until we're willing to learn from our life experiences and interpret them correctly, we'll just keep doing this. Around and around we go. The wheel of birth and death, as they call it in Buddhism. Caught up on it and cycling around, avoiding the truth that sits in the middle. The core, what around which it all rotates. That's where you want to go. So cycling around isn't going to help you. We want to go deeper into the core.
But it is going to be easier, though. Say if you're in nature and in quietness and peace, it's going to be much easier to reach it.
Not necessarily, because you're not necessarily getting the lessons that you need to awaken.
No, right.
I mean, Yeshua even says that somebody says, well, meditation, long periods of meditation, eventually it'll work because of the intent. He says this is tedious and time consuming. The fast track is this teaching of letting go, radically letting go of whatever is arising in your life, particularly your relationships. It says the holy relationships, the quickest way, because in the relationship, all your stuff comes up and then you get to see it. Okay, so I thought I was so enlightened, and then I go into relationship and I realize, oh God, there's still a whole lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
There's still a whole lot of stuff, and I get triggered and it arises. Okay, but that's good because you're seeing your stuff. You could, meditate for 20 years and never touch any of that. You go, oh, I'm so enlightened, I'm floating on a cloud of bliss. Okay, well, try coming out of your cave then. Come back into the so-called real world and start engaging with people and having relationships and interacting, and then you'll see.
Yeah.
And then maybe you find you're not so enlightened because they rub you up the wrong way and you find yourself getting irritated and annoyed and angry and fearful and whatever. And you, okay, well, 20 years of meditation didn't really undo that, did it?
Yeah.
What will undo it is as it arises, looking at it with this thought system and saying, this is not true. This is another illusion designed to trick me into believing in a false identity that I'm a separate self, that I'm a body, I'm separate from my source, I'm separate from this person, and none of that is true. I'm willing to see that. That's the fast track. That's the quickest way. Forgiveness, radical forgiveness. And you need the experiences in the world to arise to forgive in order to do it. Hiding away from them, saying, well, I'll remove myself and go into an environment that's really nice, just blissful. No, that's not really going to help. I need to actually be challenged. I need to be tested in order for these deep, dark emotions and thoughts that are in my subconscious to arise. Then I see them. Okay, great. Now I've seen it. Well, that's good.
And
so we
suppressing
awaken through these experiences.
You've got to let them come up, though, because if you just put them down, they're still going to come back to haunt you, aren't they? Suppressing and suppression, as you say.
Yeah, so it's like really looking at it, in this open, honest way that we train. Yeshua's training us. Okay, so look at it. It's just an emotion. It's not going to really hurt you. It can't kill you. Just observe it. See it for what it is. And with this framework of understanding that only pure formless awareness of perfect love is real, you can then automatically let it go. You go, but it's not real. I've got fear going on. Okay, but that's not real. That's not pure formless awareness of perfect love. So I bring it to the truth, and then it must dissolve in my awareness. I see through the illusion of it. It can't sustain in my awareness when I've seen through the illusory nature of it, you see. So that's a simple practice of forgiveness. Bring it to the truth, and all illusions will fade away, and you will restore your mind to this awareness. And just keep doing that. Whatever happens, moment by moment in your life, just keep doing that. Keep returning your awareness to source, and you can't fail eventually to know that you are that source. It's completely logical, isn't it? Of course, you keep going back to this and acknowledging this as your source. Well, yes, sooner or later you're going to know that that is your source, that is what you really are. And the delusion of being a separate self will have been undone. And so you see how letting go leads you to the awareness of who you really are.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's the only way. Because you can't accept who you really are as long as you have a false self that covers that over. That's denying that. It says you're something else. So you have to let go of the false self in order to accept the truth. So there's no other way. This is it. This is the only way. You must let go. Okay. So what was that? Let's go again. For some reason I just dropped the microphone. Okay. So a healed mind does not plan. We did that, yeah? This is what he's preparing us for. We don't plan, we just listen to the guidance. Moment by moment. You remember the last lesson. If I need a thought, then I'll get a thought. If I need words, if I need thoughts, if I need actions, if I need just stillness and a tranquil, open mind, this is what I'll have. It will all be given to me as I need it.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 12, a healed mind is relieved.
A healed mind is relieved of the belief that it must plan, although it cannot know the outcome which is best, the means by which it is achieved, nor how to recognize the problem that the plan is made to solve. It must misuse the body in its plans until it recognizes this is so. But when it has accepted this is true, then it is healed and lets the body go.
Yeah, that's what he's saying there.
Well, a healed mind is relieved of the belief that it must plan, even though it's not going to know what the outcome is going to be, which is going to be best. It's just going to, yeah, you've got to leave it open, and that's it. You're not going to know. Otherwise, it'll just misuse the body in its plans until it recognizes that this is so, you know, going to our source for the help. And this is when we're healed, is when we let the body go. But we need to accept this is true rather than conceptual.
Yeah. It doesn't. We don't really know. You've got to be comfortable with not knowing outcomes.
That's the one, yeah. And a lot
Don't
of us
really
don't like
know
that.
how this is going to plan out. So, but that's okay. I get used to letting go of needing to control the outcome and trusting the process. I trust the process. Okay, you show me. And just you ask for guidance, and you just get more and more used to that. You know, now I just do it by default. Okay, yeah, okay, so help me, show me. Now, what do I do here?
Yeah.
This is training your mind to get into that habit of saying, okay, just ask. Ask and it will be given. You know, as Yeshua said, ask and it'll be given to you. Seek and you'll find, knock and the door will be open. None of this stuff's new. He told us 2,000 years ago. It's in the Bible.
Yeah.
One of the most famous quotes. But how many people live that way?
Very few.
Yeah. It doesn't mean ask for egoic desires. You know, people misinterpret. Oh, well, I want a better car, I want a better house. People misinterpret it. No, ask for guidance. Ask for what you really need. What's really going to be most helpful for you and others. The highest good. That's what you ask for. And you don't know how that's going to look always. So, okay. I surrender then. You show me. And then you trust the guidance, which will not make sense to the ego. And the world will go, what are you doing? That's crazy. You're insane. But, you know, internally, you know that you're not insane, that this is actually what you should be doing. And accepts this is true. So accept that we don't need to plan, that we can just listen to guidance. Then we're healed. Our mind is healed. There's no past, there's no future. Okay, I just need to listen to guidance 24/7. Moment by moment. That's my job. Listen to the guidance. Because it's always there, because it's in my own mind. It's in my true mind. So it can't not be there. I'm just, by listening, I'm opening up to it. And I'm opening this channel. A whisper. This becomes like a broadband flood. It's huge. You know, this enormous awakening. This is like this, imagine this just expanding to like a torrent, like, you know, the Amazon River is something like 2 kilometers wide at points. It's like this, it becomes as wide as the ocean. And it just like merges into it. That's what we want to do. We're just completely connected. to source, and we never feel disconnected, and we just download what we need, and we act accordingly, speak and act accordingly. Okay, number 13.
Enslavement of the body to the plans the unhealed mind sets up to save itself must make the body sick. It is not free to be the means of helping in a plan which far exceeds its own protection and which needs its service for a little while. In this capacity, its health is assured. For everything the mind employs for this little function flawlessly and with strength that has been given it and cannot fail.
So let's personalize it, shall we? Enslavement of
yeah.
my body to the plans my unhealed mind sets up to save itself must make my body sick. It's not
Yeah.
free to be the means of helping in a plan which far exceeds its own protection. It needs its service for a little while. Its capacity itself is assured. Everything my mind employs for this function flawlessly with the strength that has been given it. Oh, so you get a power and a strength and a vitality that come with the spirit that will help you to fulfill its purpose and its function in this world. And you have capacity, ability, endurance that some people can go, that's phenomenal. How do you do that? Well, because it's not me. It's the spirit doing it through me. I've just let it. It's this infinite, eternal life essence that knows no sickness, no aging, no death, no limits. Well, if I allow that into me and to work through me, then miracles are possible. It's not really me, but I take no personal credit for it because it isn't me. It's belongs to everyone. That's why Yeshua said, well, you shall do these things that I have done and even greater things, because it's not a personal power. It's the source that's available to everyone. So the true teacher will say, well, I want to share that. The more I share it, the better we all are. The better I am, the better everyone is. Because the only function here is at one, that we all become one with this power. That's the only purpose. So I just want to share that, that this great, enormous power and what it can do with everyone, and show them that that's there and that they can embrace it too. Okay, so any other thoughts on that?
No, that's quite clear.
You give it all over, and the body will be used by the spirit to do the spirit's work in this world, and then the body has power and health and vitality, and everything it needs is given to it. Don't have to worry about that. Health is assured because of the purpose to which it's been dedicated. But if you dedicate your mind to egoic purposes, then sickness and ill health and low energy and bodily problems are common, because then the ego is misusing the body for its purposes, just to perpetuate its weakness and its frailty and its victimhood. Okay, so number 14, it's perhaps not easy.
It is perhaps not easy to perceive the self-initiated plans are only defenses, with the purpose all of them were made to make real. They are the means by which a frightened mind wants to undertake its own protection at the cost of truth. This is not difficult to realize in some forms which these self-deceptions take where the denial of reality is obvious. Yet planning is not often recognized as a defense.
Okay. So what's he saying there?
Well, we're back to this planning thing, isn't it? Our plans are just a deception. It's another defense. It's just to accentuate our frightened minds and to protect at the cost of our truth. And it's not
Planning is
difficult.
not often recognized as a defense.
Yeah.
So in our world, planning is considered normal. Oh no,
It
no, no.
is.
You need to make your plans. You need to have your securities in place. You know, your insurance policies and your all of these things that seemingly make us safe. And this is considered normal. And we have, you know, huge industries that rely on this, on these belief systems. We don't recognize planning as a defense. And then if someone like Yeshua comes along and says that planning is a defense, people are, oh, that's just way too radical. We can't accept that. Okay, then, but then you have to accept what the ego offers you. You have to accept that that thought system will work.
It'll just give you a
When
more
it clearly
frightening.
doesn't. When it clearly doesn't. So, you know, where does that leave you then? Trying to believe in what doesn't work, or you're willing to acknowledge that it doesn't work, just let it go and open yourself up to the truth. Which means that all of these structures that we've invented here must go. You know, they're all part of the illusion. They're not true. So a lot of people can't handle it. They're like, no, you know, these things are somehow important and valuable and real. No, they're just mind-created structures.
Yeah.
That we've invented as part of our denial of truth. And they've been around a long, long time. But then eternity's been around forever. So which would you prefer? You know, the delusions seem to go back thousands of years in human history, or eternity that's been there forever. From the beginning of the split, the first moment of separation, the tiny mad idea, and then descent into hell and projection of it out into an illusory universe. The eternity's always been there. The spirit's always been there. It's never not been there. So it's the one constant in the dream that you can rely on. Yes, you're saying, well, just go to that. You don't need defenses of that, because that just is what it is. It doesn't need to be defended. It's always there. It just is. Just accept it. And then no defense is necessary. You won't feel the need to defend illusions when you have the truth. You recognize the illusions are nothing and nowhere, and the truth is everything and everywhere. So why would you bother with all these defenses? Well, you wouldn't. It's not the point. You let them go. See the folly of them and go, that's just ridiculous. And I'm not going to buy in to any of those, literally, because we're asked to buy into them. You know, think of what all these defenses cost. All of your insurance policies and security for your home and wills and all these structures. They've all a cost to them. They all cost money and time. Most importantly, your time. Now your mind is being used, instead of for 1 minute, it's being used to enslave you into these false beliefs.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel good, does it? When you're having to deal with that stuff, it's like, oh,
No,
it's kind of
doesn't.
You're dealing with insurance policies and wills and, you know, states and tax and all this stuff. It's none of it feels light and free.
No, it doesn't.
Because it's not. It's part of the illusion. It's designed to burden us, weigh us down into into believing that we're a false self and that the world is real.
Mm.
So planning is just part of that keeps illusion, keeps the whole system going. Oh no, I need to plan and I need to perpetuate all these illusions. Plan for my future. Oh no, but if I don't plan, I don't save for a rainy day and I don't have a pension, then I'm gonna potentially die. This is the thought system.
Mm.
And I just never bought into it. I was like, what? So from the age of 18, you're living for the day you retire, and you got to have a pen. I mean, like, that's just crazy. That didn't seem to me to be any kind of way to live my life. So I have no pension, but I have the Holy Spirit and the eternal truth. Is much better. I think that's a good trade.
Yeah, where your pension will just come through your truth. Yeah.
You'll be guided. Right? You'll always be guided and supported. If you're doing the will of God, you will be. So try, you just trust that. You don't need a pension.
No.
Whatever you need on the level of form will be given to you, because that's what's needed for the plan to unfold. So, abundance is not necessarily having over the top, like, excessive money. It's just having what you need when you need it. That's abundance, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it can actually be quite minimalist abundance. Oh yeah, I don't need over the top, like, vast sums of money, or no, I just need whatever I need is provided. That's abundance.
Yeah.
When I need it, it's provided. Okay, so then I live in the abundance of knowing that I'm always provided for. Well, what else do I need?
Mm.
And any surplus is just unnecessary. If I think I need lots of money to make me secure, then that's just another defense. It's not really abundance. It's actually poverty, because it's enslaving me into the belief in defenses and fear, and into my separate self. And we know many rich people have lots of money, but they're not free. They're not really abundant.
No.
I think
They think
because
they're going to lose
they're
it.
believing that money is their source of safety and security. And so then they have to defend it. Now we've got to plan for it. We've got to invest it to make sure we don't lose it, to make sure no one steals it. On and on it goes.
Got an alarm
not
system. Yeah, they've got alarm systems and cameras.
Yeah.
Mm.
I've seen it. My sister has all this, and it's like, is she happy? Is she
My
healthy?
sister.
No.
Same with my
Neither. Her health is terrible.
Oh.
She's getting old before her time, and where's the happiness?
Right.
The joy and the spontaneity in the moment. It's like you're burdened by all these things. So I'm very grateful I don't have any of that.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful I have no possessions. It's a great freedom to not have any of that stuff to weigh you down, which is why many spiritual teachers and masters they renounce the world. They're not interested in
material.
having material stuff, because they realize it's just a burden.
True.
They're going for the for the eternal, and only that. That's why when that guy, in that movie, the wealth obsessed black guy from Zimbabwe.
Oh, yes.
The Bible's all about. It's like he's no idea. No, Yeshua had no money, right? He didn't have any,
Possessions.
literally he didn't have any possessions. He had the clothes he wore and his staff, and nothing was hoarded, nothing was kept. None. Just he lived in a free, guided way. And what they needed was provided for. I think they got donations, and people gave donations of food and money, and so what they needed was provided, and that was all.
Mm.
So he lived in that way. He didn't say, right, the kingdom of heaven is about acquiring lots of material possessions. It's a total misinterpretation of his teachings. Never the case. But it's interesting how the mind will misinterpret. You see what you want to see, don't you?
You do.
Like, yeah, the Bible's all about material abundance. Really? I think you've you've misread
missed the point.
most of it, because it's, you know, that's just your own misinterpretation of it, because that's what you want to perceive, because your ego is looking for reinforcement for its delusional system. And so then it seeks to find it in the Bible. Say, well, the Bible's all about material wealth and abundance. No. The Bible's about finding God, which is beyond that. And there's many passages that tell you that the world of Mammon, Yeshua even says, you can't honor two masters. You can't honor Mammon and God, very clearly. You know, that's a quote. So obviously he didn't read that bit, did he? Just overlooked that, because we don't want to see it, because we see what we want to see. Find justification for our thought system. That's how the ego works. Okay, so are we done number 14?
Yes, yeah.
So planning, demand, reality is obvious.
Planning is
I think planning is their security. Oh, why this keeps changing my microphone.
Right. That's
Okay, so number 15, if you want to read that.
The mind engaged in planning for itself is occupied in settling up control of future happenings. It does not think that it will be provided for unless it makes its own provisions. The future aspect of time is emphasized to be controlled by learning and experience obtained from past events and previous beliefs. The mind overlooks the present, for it believes the idea the past has taught enough to let it direct its future course.
Okay, so what's he saying here?
Well, the mind is just engaged in planning, in control for future happenings, and it's controlled by learning and experiencing obtained only from past events and previous beliefs. The mind overlooks the present. It thinks that the past is enough to teach it to direct us into the future.
So this is the ego's delusion, isn't it? Telling you, okay, so look to your own past experience, which is so limited. It's tiny. Your own little past experience, that's it. Such a narrow little channel of experience within the vastness of, you know, the whole world and the whole cosmos. And you think that that experience can guide you properly in the moment, that very limited experience, just your personal experience? I mean, of course it can't. Where's the expansive wisdom? Where's access to something that transcends time and space? It's not there. So then it takes that past conditioning and it says, well, this is now how I'm going to interpret the present moment, and I'm going to project that into the future. So then that past conditioning leads to your future expectations and fears. And so the past covers over the present, leads to the future. You get caught up in past future, the past future channel, and the now is obscured, which is exactly what the ego wants. Because only in the now can you awaken. So of course it's going to try and cover that over and deny it. Okay, so next one, happy with number 15?
Yeah.
And overlooks the present. So it just believes that the past is enough to direct its future course. And so that kind of a mind is going to be planning. obsessively. Okay, so based on my past, I now need to make future plans to make me safe. And all of it's very linear on the timeline from birth to death. And you don't realize that this is all making time real. And this is part of the prison of the ego, the illusion of time and space. It's taking you down to the inevitable goal of death. And planning is leading you to death. You look at it, I mean, people plan for the future. Okay, well, I'm planning for my retirement. Well, retirement's only one step away from death, isn't it?
It is.
So you're planning for your death. Okay, great. But the ego is a death wish. So, what can you expect? It wants to kill you. So it's going to make plans for your death, but it's not going to tell you that it's making plans for your death. It's going to tell you that these plans are good and you need these, and these are keeping you safe. When you talk about trickery and deception, right? It's planning to kill you, and it's telling you it's trying to help you. So we have to learn to see through it and go, no, I'm not listening to this insane entity at all. Okay, so number 16, you can read that.
Therefore, the mind that plans is thus refusing to allow for change. What it has learned before becomes the basis for its future goals. Its past experience directs its choice of what will happen, and it does not see that everything it needs to guarantee a future, quite unlike the past, is here and now, without a continuity of any old ideas and sick beliefs. Anticipation plays no part at all, for present confidence directs the way.
Yeah. So what's he saying there?
Well, if the mind plans, it's refusing to allow for any change. Going back to what it's learned before comes the basis for its future. So the past directs all choices of what will happen.
Yeah, so let's go back to our timeline, because it's quite profound. This, I mean, this is talking about the way to live your entire life. And no reference to the past. Right? So your past is over. There's no conditioning, no conditioned thoughts, and you're not taking the past into the future. So there's no anticipation, no expectation. You're simply purely present in the moment, listening to the guidance. Okay, so what should I say? What should I do? Where should I go? And it comes from a place beyond the timeline. You're not referencing the ego and this time-space illusion anymore. You're referencing to this true awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love, downloading that into your awareness. And then the miraculous thing about the Holy Spirit is that it can actually interpret this high-level awareness that's beyond time and space. It has no form, into form. And it can give you specific guidance in your dream. That's very helpful for you. It will tell you what to do, where to go, what to say, and so on. And that is the miracle. That's miraculous that we have that presence and that guidance system available to us. That's the miracle, isn't it? Because otherwise we'd be lost here forever. We got stuck in the illusion. There'd be no way home, no way out, if that wasn't there. So it is by the grace of God, pure formless awareness of perfect love, that awareness is still there, and that it can actually be perceived and experienced in our dream in a very, very helpful way. It helps us to live our lives actually very functionally, practically. It's enormously helpful. So that's what he's saying here. Beyond planning and defenses and past and future lies a trust, a complete trust in the present moment. And that moment by moment, you will be given whatever you need in your life. Anticipation plays no part at all. Past plays no part at all. For present confidence directs the way. Okay. Number 17, happy to move on.
Yep, yeah. Yeah, it's just I'll have to have 5 minutes to take the animals out. So I'll do this one and then I'll take them out.
Okay, how long are you going to be?
Be about 10 minutes, I think.
Okay, it's fine. We can take a 10-minute break.
Yeah. Defenses are the plans I undertake to make against the truth. Their aim is to select what I approve and disregard, and I consider incompatible with my beliefs about my reality. Yet what remains is meaningless indeed, for it is my reality that is the threat which my defenses would attack, obscure, take apart, and crucify.
Yeah. Well, so that's what the defenses are there, to defend against your true reality. And they are there. Your defenses are an attack, right? The nature of all defense is that the flip side of it is attack. It is actually an attack on truth. Because your reality needs no defense. You know, you simply are. You are pure formless awareness of perfect love. That needs no explanation. It needs no defense. It just is. So as soon as you're starting to defend, you're actually attacking that pure formless awareness of perfect love as your reality. You're denying it and saying, no, I'm actually a fearful, weak self that can be hurt. And I now have to defend myself. Make sense? Okay, Len? Happy with that? Or are you going to take the animals out now? I'm assuming you're doing that. Okay. All right, so we'll take a little break. Be back in 10 minutes. I'll just pause the recording. Yeah, and All right. Hi, Elaine. You back?
Oh, hi. Sorry about that.
Elaine?
Yeah,
You hear me?
yeah, yes, yeah. I left a
Okay.
message for you because I had been back. I just went out for 5 minutes.
All right.
Had an angry neighbour. One of my cats was trapped in
My
her
cat
house,
locked in her house.
and
All
it,
right.
it done its toilet and all the rest of it. So she wasn't too happy with me. So
Hmm.
I did try to sort of, say, is there anything I can do to help? But I think she was just too annoyed. So
Yeah. What can you do, eh?
no, yeah.
So okay. Should we continue? Happy?
Yeah, I can do it another half hour, yeah.
Okay. Well, we got let's see, another 9 paragraphs. Maybe we can do that.
Yeah.
So let me just get the recordings going in. Okay, so let's go there. Okay, alrighty. So recording going. Recording paused. Okay, so that and share my screen again. All right, so where were we? Number 17.
Yeah,
We did number 17, didn't we?
we did, yeah.
Okay, number 18. What could I not accept?
What could I not accept if I only knew that everything that happens, all events, past, present, and to come, are gently planned by one whose only purpose is my good? Perhaps I have misunderstood its plan, for it would never offer pain to me. But my defenses did not let me see its loving blessing shine in every step I ever took. While I made plans for death, it led me gently to eternal life. So what death is leading us to eternal life. So we shouldn't fear it.
Yeah, we think death is real, the death of the body, but the death of the body is nothing because the body is nothing. Actually, what's true is eternal life. This pure formless awareness of perfect love is eternal life. Our mind is eternal in that presence. Would never offer pain to me. Only my own delusion offers me pain. So and you know, what strikes me there is one whose only purpose is my good. Everything that happens, all events, past, present, and to come, are gently planned. There's this, the Holy Spirit is planning our escape from this illusion. Its only purpose is my highest good.
Interesting. So I'm obviously not tapped into this yet because I've got angry neighbors and demented husbands.
Yeah, but all of that, you see, is for your highest good.
Right.
All of it's
Okay.
for your highest good, because it's teaching you that the ego is not true. It's showing you in the mirror that this world presents what your ego believes about yourself. And it's not
Right.
pretty. So
No.
it's interpreting. The Holy Spirit is saying, well, that's fine. The ego is doing its thing. But now I can reinterpret everything that it's doing. And I can see that this is the delusional thought system. This is not the truth. This is not who I really am. And so I choose to let it go and be who I really am. And so it is all part of the plan for your awakening. All events. Gently planned by one whose only purpose is my highest good. Okay, so you've got a husband who's angry and aggressive and drinks too much. That's part of the plan. It's because if you reinterpret it correctly, you can awaken from the dream.
Right.
Through that.
Right.
It's happening for you. So you don't awaken in spite of it. You awaken through it.
By forgiving it.
Now, by truly letting it go, by looking on it and saying, this is not the truth. This is not the truth of who I really am. It's a projection of an illusion of who I am. This is not what I would accept in my mind anymore. Even though it's been shown to me, perhaps repeatedly. I don't have to believe in it. I don't have to be mentally and emotionally affected by it. That's a decision that I take. If I choose to allow it to affect me, I have to recognize that's my choice. I made a choice to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe not a conscious choice, but the point is to bring our choices into conscious awareness. So actually everything I am doing is a choice. So perhaps I've misunderstood its plan. You've misunderstood its plan. It would never offer pain to me. No, its purpose is to help you to reinterpret all appearances of pain and let them go so that you can be pain-free. Your defenses did not let you perceive, because your defenses make fearful. And that, attack is therefore real. If I defend myself, I'm attacked.
Right.
They deny the eternal life that is yours.
Right. Still, it's a difficult one to do, but I appreciate what it's saying.
Yeah, well, it's a process.
Yeah.
To really, understand this requires continuous practice.
Yeah.
Okay, so if something, negative seems to happen, it's happening for me. It's part of the plan for my awakening. I remind myself of it. The more I remind myself of it, the more I use this thought system, the more it makes sense to me. I was like, okay, well, this actually does make sense. It works. And so I'll continue doing it. But it is a practice. Keep practicing and practicing until you get perfect at it. Okay, so number 19, happy with number 18.
Yeah. Just 2 seconds. I seem to have lost all my animals again.
Okay.
If you could just bear with me a moment. I seem to now my dogs have gone missing. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll just quickly shout. I don't know where they've gone. So obviously when I've been looking for the cat, the dogs have gone and escaped. Oh, sorry about this.
Okay, well, I'll read number 19 while you
Yeah,
look for
could you, while I look for them, they seem to have just disappeared for a short while. Thank you. Just give them a shout. I'll just put that on mute.
my present trust in it. In the Spirit, Holy Spirit, is a defense that promises a future undisturbed, without a trace of sorrow, with joy that constantly increases as this life becomes a wholly aware moment, a holy instant. Apparently happening in time, but being aware only of immortality. Heeding only immortality. So in this life, I'm being aware only of immortality. So I let no defenses except my present trust direct the future. Let no defenses except my present trust direct the future. This life becomes a meaningful encounter with the truth that only my defenses can conceal. So this is our defense, just present trust in the Holy Spirit to guide us moment by moment by moment. That is the security, that's the greatest defense against fear that we have. Okay, I'll move on to number 21. Number 20, it's about defenses. I become a light which heaven gratefully acknowledges to be its own. What defenses I become? True awareness. State of pure formless awareness gratefully acknowledges as itself. And it will lead me on in ways appointed for my happiness, according to the ancient plan begun when time was born. My companions will join their awareness with mine and will be increased until the world is made fully aware of joy. And gladly will our companions let go of their cumbersome defenses. Did not serve them at all, and only terrified them. become the true awareness, which is a state of pure formless awareness, gratefully acknowledges as itself. Oh, Elaine, you back?
Oh, yes, yeah. Right.
Okay, so just the previous one, my present trust, and read that.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
My present trust in it is the defense that promises a future undisturbed, without a trace of sorrow, and with joy that constantly increases, as this life becomes a wholly aware moment, apparently happening in time, but being aware only of immortality. If I let no defenses except my present trust direct the future, this life becomes a meaningful encounter with the truth that only my defenses can conceal.
Beautiful paragraph.
Mm,
Life becomes
Very
a meaningful
comforting.
encounter with the truth.
yeah,
So there's the meaning in life. You know, the meaning comes from truth and from nothing else. Your life becomes a meaningful encounter with the truth if you surrender to the truth, or you must believe in illusions. Those are the choices.
yeah, very comforting.
That's like everyone's destiny. Eventually, you know, everyone's life will become a meaningful encounter with the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 20, without defenses.
Without defenses, I become the true awareness, which the state of pure formless awareness gratefully acknowledge as itself. And it will lead me on in ways appointed for my happiness according to the ancient plan, begun when time was born. My companions will join their awareness with mine, and it will be increased until the world is made fully aware with joy. And gladly will our companions let go of their cumbersome defenses, which did not serve them at all and only terrified them. Yeah. It's, getting down to our insurance and all our walls and alarm systems and
None of which makes us happy.
no.
Did not serve them at all. What it serves to do is to make you a separate self in your mind, identify with the body and the entire illusion that's all rather fearful. And this is now takes the place of eternity in your mind. So there's nothing of any true value there at all. And the ancient plan is the plan of at-one-ment. It began when time was born. So the moment we separated, the moment of separation, in that moment, the plan began for at-one-ment. See that?
Yeah.
Because the correction was always there. The possibility of correction arose. So the illusion created this alternative thought system, but the truth remained as it was, and remained buried in our memory to one day be reawakened. And so the plan of that, remembrance began the moment that it was forgotten. And remembrance of perfect love was only necessary when it was forgotten. It's not like something new was created, really. It was just the memory. The remembrance of perfect love is the memory of that which was forgotten. So the memory comes into service and use when it's been forgotten. See, when it's no longer forgotten, then there's no more need for the memory. It just is our awareness. That makes sense. So that's what the Holy Spirit really is. It's just that memory in the dream in which we've forgotten, which is very useful to us now to remember. So ultimately, that memory leads us to the full awareness. So the Holy Spirit leads us back to pure formless awareness of perfect love. Because that's what a memory does. The memory leads you back to the full state of that awareness. So it kind of it makes this idea of the Holy Trinity quite simple and explicable. Okay, it's just the remembrance. Holy Spirit's remembrance of perfect love. It's the memory of it, and it's necessary as long as you're forgetting. The memory will eventually restore your mind to the full state, the full pure formless awareness of perfect love. That's its only purpose, is to restore you to that full state. And it does it via a temporary construct of a true self. You say, I'm a true self who can now have true perceptions or Christ's vision in this world, and I can perceive all these experiences in time and space correctly with the help of this remembrance of perfect love, which helps me to perceive them correctly. Now you have a self that is perceiving correctly. So the true self or the Christ perceives correctly through the Holy Spirit. And that process of correct perception reawakens us to the knowledge of who we are ultimately. And that's the Holy Trinity's thought system for awakening. Okay. Any thoughts on number 20?
Well, another reassuring paragraph.
Join the awareness of mind, increase until the world is made aware, fully aware of the joy.
Promising, but difficult to get to. This is the thing. With this annoying ego in the way.
No, but don't make it difficult. The ego is nothing. The ego is really nothing. So it's not difficult if you just moment by moment listen to the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And moment by moment, you do the correction.
Yeah.
It becomes very doable. Only if you go out of the moment, out of the wholly aware moment, that you're going to have a problem.
Yeah. Just, undoing all the cravings and fears and all the silly things that go on. Yeah.
But, moment by moment, you can do that. Okay, I noticed the thought. It's not a healthy one. It's not a happy one. I let it go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
That's all you can do. And that's all you need to do. You're saying just let it go as it arises. Well, that's quite simple. I just have to be vigilant enough, aware enough to catch those thoughts and then let them go. It's quite doable.
Not get mixed up in suppression and repression, and not suppressing. This is where I get myself muddled. So if there's something comes up, then I push it down. That's not quite what you
mean. To really look at it. Say, okay, so let me feel it. I'm not scared of it. I'll go into it. This is where the Vipassana might help you. Okay, let's feel the emotion of it.
Okay.
just as a sensation, a felt sensation in the body. I feel it, I experience it. Okay, might not be pleasant, but it's just a sensation. Okay, so now I'm teaching myself that this isn't really to be feared. It's not so scary. It's just a sensation in the body.
Mm.
Well, it's not
Yeah.
that scary. Just and if I'm aware of it, it will arise in my awareness, and it will tend to pass away. It doesn't last. It's just a temporary sensation.
Mm.
And then it passes away, and I go, well, actually, I'm okay now.
Yeah.
That's not permanent. And then you learn that none of them are permanent. None of those covering thoughts and emotions that cover over the veil of illusion that cover over pure formless awareness, perfect love. None of those are real.
Mm.
And you learn it moment by moment by letting go in every moment.
Yeah, you're quite right about the Vipassana. That sounds good for people that are emotional.
Yeah.
Where it's stuck in the body. Some people are more emotional than others, So that would be a good meditation for those people like myself.
Yeah, it's helpful because it helps you deal directly with emotion.
Yeah.
Which is the ego's kind of chief weapon. Like, okay, well, now you feel emotion. And then
Yeah.
it really becomes real for you because you feel the emotion.
Yes. Yeah.
You know how it works. And
Yeah.
then that,
Oh, yeah.
that's how it makes it real.
Sneaky, very sneaky, yeah.
As if you can look on it and say, well, emotion isn't really real. It's just a temporary sensation that's arising in the body, a manifestation of a false belief system. And I can just let it dissipate. Okay, the emotion's there, and then it gets weaker, and it just kind of blows away, and it fades away, and I can let it go. And I recognize through that letting go that it can't have been real. What is real can't be let go of. So if I can let go of these emotions, they can't be real. So it's self-evident from our experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what we're being asked to practice over and over and over again, repeatedly.
Let
So
go.
eventually we get it right. We just, it becomes our default. I've done it so many times. But this is the default way that I, operate. And I do it just as a matter of course, because I've trained my mind so much to do it. But now that's just like the ego was the default thought system before, but I just defaulted to without even being conscious of it. Now I just default to letting go.
Yeah.
But
So as soon as
all that new system is going to take a lot of mind training. Completely unfamiliar to you. Not
because we all have our addictions of one thing or another, chocolate, alcohol, whatever it might be, overthinking, emotional, whatever. Yeah.
We all have our defenses against the truth, and to recognize that they are that, and then consciously let them go.
Yeah.
Moment by moment as they arise. It's such a simple teaching. That's all he's asking us to do. Saying that's the one thing you have to do to awaken.
Yeah.
It's a simple practice. It's a simple, simple
couldn't get simpler, really. It couldn't be more simple.
It's very simple. It's very simple. But it's the hardest thing to do because it's the thing that the ego doesn't want you to do.
The ego is such a parasite.
Try and convince you that that's absolutely what you shouldn't be doing, and that you should be getting attached and you should be feeling emotional, and this stuff's all a bit woo-woo and it doesn't really work, and you've got to get practical and real, and it's got to come in and guide you in your life, because you need its guidance to manage your life. So, it's only difficult because you have that other thought system. It's insane. That's coming in and saying, no, all of that's a load of rubbish. I'm the truth. What I'm telling you is the truth. Listen to me. But he's training us to recognize that voice and not listen to it.
Yeah.
to recognize the the deceptions of the ego for what they are, and be able to resist them, which is why this mind training is so intensive. Like it's giving us over and over. Okay, so this is how it
But
works.
it needs
This is
it.
what the
It
ego
needs it, yeah. Because the ego
Well,
is so
well,
persistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why it's 1,300 pages, because he realizes like telling you once the truth isn't going to really cut it. It's like over and over and over again. You repeat it, and you repeat it in different ways, in different forms, in lessons, in text. And that truth repeated over and over and over again. Eventually you start learning it and you accept it. And then
Becomes a habit, yeah.
Yeah. And then you can live your life according to the truth rather than the illusion.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite a profound process, because you've just uninstalled your entire operating system, not just from this life, but from every lifetime. You uninstall that entire operating system and you reinstall the truth as your operating system. Wow. I mean, that's quite profound.
That's quite an amazing,
It's quite a profound undertaking.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I appreciate it.
Of course, it's
simple,
gonna have some challenges. It's not just snapping fingers. I just installed. If only it was easy as a computer. You just like wipe the hard drive clean and you go, all right. So then we reinstall, upload, and it'll take a few hours and it's done. With us, the problem is that old operating system is deeply entrenched in the guts of the computer.
It really is.
To undo it, you have to go into those depths and really, okay, so let's look at the code. This faulty code has to really be looked at, examined, and then undone. Okay, let's erase that faulty code. And then the new code is there. It's already there, underlying. It's just the blank awareness that's already there that then arises in your awareness. You don't have to write that code. You don't have to create anything. It's already there. You just have to see it, accept it for what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll anticipate that time. We'll anticipate that time today with present confidence.
I will anticipate that time today with present confidence, for this is part of what was planned for me. I will be sure that everything I need to accomplish this today has already been given to me. I make no plans for how it will be done, but realize that my defenselessness is all that is required for the truth to dawn upon my mind with certainty.
Okay, so what's he saying there?
Well, we will anticipate time today with present confidence. So, and this is what's planned for us. I will be sure that everything I need to accomplish today has already been given to me. We make no plans. It'll all be done for us. But the only thing they ask is for our defenselessness. That's all that's really required to find the truth. And that is for certain. So the defenselessness. Yeah, there's one. Yeah.
So the state of a condition for truth to arise is a defenseless mind. If I'm defending, then the truth is covered over.
Yeah, and I know I'm still in the trigger mode. So I've got to practice that defenselessness. So when my husband gets, saying, "Oh, you're being brainwashed," I always get triggered. No, I just wish.
Well, you say, yes, I am. That's the truth. I'm brainwashing myself, but I'm I'm cleaning my mind. That's the whole point. I'm cleaning it of all the negative
Yeah.
thought.
Well, have I
Brainwashing.
said that to him? Yes.
Don't say brainwashing, say mind washing. I'm mind washing. Right? I'm cleaning my mind, Dave.
Funny enough, I have said that. I've said the brainwashing
Mm.
is not in the negative connotation. It's we're actually clearing and cleaning all the negativity. Yeah, I have mentioned that. Yeah. But yeah,
And
still,
you can say to him, but Dave, when you watch the TV and you watch all these programs and whatever, you're brainwashing yourself with that. We're all brainwashing ourselves. You know that because that's what you choose to allow into your mind.
Yeah.
And so that becomes your program. You're programming yourself to believe in it.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand, you know, what we all if you're sitting watching lots of TV, you are being brainwashed by that.
Yeah. Mm.
Because it's teaching you a thought system that seems to be real and true. And then the more you watch it, the more you go, well, this is just how it is. This is reality. This is truth.
Mm.
So we're being brainwashed, you know, all the time by the ego. And then of course the ego says when you're trying to undo it, oh no, this is brainwashing. Funny enough, my dad also said, oh, you know, brainwashing yourself with all the stuff you're listening to. I was like, well, of course the ego's got to deny the truth because it's the only way it's gonna continue in its existence. But I look at him and I go, but you're not happy. You know, also got dementia. Well, that's not accident. You know, I don't think people who are awakened get dementia. Why would they? There's no point. You know, it's people who shut themselves down, close themselves off from the spirit, get dementia.
And they watch the news, the bad news.
Yeah, I'm sitting, you program yourself, and I've seen it with a number of, you know, my dad, he sat and watched sports in the news for years, just like programming himself with all this rubbish. And I was earlier this year, in fact, when you met me in January, I was with an old lady, and I stayed there for 4 months, and it was kind of sort of a companion, and also just sits there watching. She's watching like these programs about psychopathic killers. It's like 10 o'clock at night. Going,
before
do
you
really
go to
want
bed,
watching that before you go to bed? Oh no, I find it fascinating. I'm like, God, do you find death
relaxing? Some people find it relaxing.
Yeah, but it's totally twisted. I mean, you're talking about you know, death and disaster and murder, and you want to fill your mind with that before you go to bed.
I know. I'm amazed.
Terrific. I mean, what are you doing? You're programming yourself, you know, for fear and negativity and not even realizing what you're doing.
But but they find sometimes they say it's relaxing to watch torture. So there you go.
But that's you know, that's
they're addicted to it.
Of the ego. It's like it thinks it's good. It's telling them it's good, but it's actually very harmful.
It's Eckhart Tolle called it the pain body. We're attracted to the pain body. We're just attracted to it.
So you know, let's go into murder. Let's watch programs about psychopathic killers, because that's making the thought system of attack and fear and death real, isn't it? Over and over and over again. Every time I watch it, and then she's like, she's paranoid because you know she says don't leave the key in the door. I'm like, so well, connect the dots. You're paranoid because you watch stories about psychopathic killers, and then you think that someone's going to come in and you know and kill you in the night, even though you're living in rural Dorset, and that is just not really likely to happen. You know, very, very, very unlikely occurrence. But then you get all upset and fearful, and like, well, but why? You're programming yourself all the time to be fearful. That's why. And I'm of course like, well, so what? You leave the key in the door. No one's gonna, you know, no one's gonna come in. It's locked anyway, so no one's gonna smash. I mean, this isn't South Africa. No, smash the window, double glazed window, to get the key to, you know, in the middle of the night. I mean, it's just not going to happen, is it? In rural England. So you're making a drama out of nothing. But you know, this is what
too much of the books you're reading.
When you programmed yourself negatively, and you now got this irrational fear because you spend so many hours watching programs about psychopathic killers
Yeah.
that you think everyone's out to get you. When psychopathic killers are an anomaly in our society, they're not the norm. Most people are
No.
not like that. They're like
No.
an outlier. They're like a 1 in a million who does that or something, you know?
Yeah.
And then they, of course they make programs about it because it makes supposedly entertaining
Good
TV.
viewing. Yeah.
Well, it's got to be something dramatic, you know, to make a program about someone who's just sitting quietly and being peaceful isn't really okay. Well, it's like watching paint dry.
It's too boring.
I suppose you could make programs about enlightened people like Eckhart Tolle, but it's much more entertaining for the masses to watch programs about death and destruction because that's what the ego wants.
And horror, yeah.
So they feed people what the ego wants, and that's brainwashing. You're just continuously reinforcing this program of sin, guilt, fear, attack, death. Over and over, and that's been shown to you on TV, on the internet. We've been bombarded by these images, and you have to make conscious choices in this world about what you're going to expose yourself to or not. And what do you choose to listen to? What do you choose to watch? It's vital that we make those conscious choices. Otherwise, you say to him, "You're being brainwashed. You don't even know it." And guaranteed on those TVs watching football or whatever, you're getting commercials, ads for beer, alcohol, because that's where they are advertised. Prime time, okay, we want people to drink, so and we know that drinking and football go together, so. And then it just reinforces, this belief system that's hurting you. Can't you not see it's hurting you? But they can't. When they're so brainwashed, they can't. They think it's sort of somehow normal. It's okay. So you'll never reconcile. The bottom line is, Elaine, you'll never reconcile these thought systems. So you may as well just go the whole way.
Different.
Look,
they're
okay,
completely different.
I'm going for the truth, then yes, the ego is not going to like it, and the world is going to think I'm mad. But then what would I expect from an insane world? If I'm awakening from insanity, of course it's going to think I'm mad, because it's going to tell me that it's sane and I'm insane. That's how it goes. The allegory of the cave, it's still so much applies. That allegory is still more applicable than ever to human life. Now you just update it and you'd say, well, it's not a cave. People are born literally now with devices, and they sit there watching these screens showing them apparent reality, and they think that that's reality. And it requires an awakening mind to turn around and say, no, what's been shown to me is not true. Outside of this projected world is the light, and they leave the prison, the cave, and they go to the light, and they see true reality, which is pure formless awareness. And they come back and they say, these screens, these images you're seeing are all illusion. They're not true. And of course, the people addicted to the screens are like, what are you talking about? You mad? Of course this is real. Look, here it is in front of me. I can see it. That's how it's always been. That's just, so you'll never reconcile. You just have to embrace, yes, I'm different. If I'm awakening and I stand for the truth, then I must stand against all the illusions of the world. So of course I'm gonna stand out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be different from the ego's norm. I'm not a slave in the matrix anymore. I've awakened. I'm a red pill, if you want to use matrix terminology. I'm a red pill, not a blue pill. I'm not plugged in anymore. So I'm different, and I have abilities that are also extraordinary. So it's not bad being awakened, because you have miraculous abilities that can be used to help you and others.
Yeah.
You're not just average anymore. Yeah, that's what you're being awakened to that destiny, to awaken to who you really are. Which is happening. So you can't not do all this work, and it's happening. Just trust the process.
Yeah.
Okay, did we read number 21?
Yes.
Oh, so this is a great lesson, because he's just saying this is the whole attitude. This is where this is what how you should live your life. I'm not planning how it will be done. I just defenseless, and all is required for the truth to dawn upon my mind with certainty is this surrendered presence has already been given to me. So it's kind of a done deal. It's almost like, okay, my destiny will unfold today. It's already done. It's loaded. Think of it this way. It's loaded into the movie. The movie's already there. The script's already there. The movie's been made, but then it's got to play out frame by frame. Yeah. But you go to watch a movie. The movie's already there, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's already been made. It's now got to come into your experience frame by frame. Well, it's the same with our lives. It's already been made, but it's got to come into your manifest experience frame by frame to be experienced and understood, and learned from. So it's going to play out, and then how you interpret that frame by frame experience. Well, that's going to determine everything. If you interpret it from the Holy Spirit, then you perceive the truth beyond the illusions of the images being shown to you. But if you perceive it as real, then you're enslaved by it, and then the ego is in charge. Okay, so that actually brings us to our meditation. Would you like to do a meditation on this for 10 or 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do that. Yeah. Right. I'll just mute.
Okay. So this. All right, so just get into your favorite meditation posture, sitting comfortably. If you're sitting on a chair, feet shoulder width apart, your back straight. Up your hands in your lap, close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile. Scan your mind, notice any thoughts, particularly any defensive thoughts. Planning being one of those defensive thoughts, senseless planning. Every thought that blocks the truth from entering my awareness. Today I will receive instead of plan, so that I may give the gifts of love, peace, and joy moment by moment to myself instead of organize. And I truly receive these gifts, as I say. If I defend myself, I'm really attacking myself. But in defenselessness, I will be strong. And I will learn what my defenses hide. So as you exhale, Exhale, blow it out. The breeze of your breath. And nothingness that it really is. It's going, gone. Lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. Just finding a deep peace and stillness in this defenselessness. Know that if there are plans to make, you will be told of them. It may not be the plans you thought were needed, nor indeed the answers to the problems which you thought confronted you. They're answers to another kind of question, which remains unanswered, yet in need of answering until the answer comes to you at last. All the defenses have been aimed at not receiving what you will receive today. Say, in the true awareness and joy of simple trust, I will only wonder why I ever thought that I must defend against my release. Say these words to yourself, ideally aloud. True awareness and joy of simple trust. I will only wonder why I ever thought that I must defend against my release. State of pure formless awareness asks nothing. It is victimhood and suffering, hell in the original. It makes extravagant demands for sacrifice. I give up nothing in these times today when undefended. I present myself to my source as I really am. And breathe in, you breathe in this source energy, the light, your true awareness into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Is in the light of true awareness. Accept what you really are. Accept who you really are. In this moment, fully aware moment. My source has remembered me. Today, I will remember it. But this is Easter time in my awakening. And I rise again from what was seeming death and hopelessness. Now is a true awareness of hope reborn in me. When I come without defense, learn the part for me within the plan of perfect love. What little plans or magical beliefs can still have value when I've received my function from the voice for pure, formless awareness of perfect love itself. So try not to shape tomorrow. It's almost at the end of today. I try not to shape tomorrow as I believe would benefit me most. Or I cannot conceive of all the happiness that comes to me without my planning. I learn of it today. And all the world, everyone will take this giant stride. And celebrate my time of awakening with me. Throughout the days, foolish little things appear to raise defensiveness in me, tempt me to engage in weaving plans. I remind myself this is a special day of learning. I acknowledge it with this. This is my time of awakening. And I want to remain wholly aware. I will not defend myself because I will not defend myself because I, as the extension of perfect love, need no defense against the truth of my reality. And then just sink into this reality. Deep peace, stillness, the real world. True reality needs no defense, just is. It's there right now in your awareness. Pure, pristine, pure, almost awareness we call it. Goes beyond naming and labeling. Sink into this truth. And you sink into it, immerse yourself in it, you realize it's so holy and pure that no need to defend it. Any defense simply denies it. Just have to accept it, fully embrace it. So nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Breathe, relax, be still. Surrender into that stillness, quiet. Surrender into the stillness and the quietness. Sinking inwards deeper and deeper with each breath into the defenseless truth beyond planning and any other ridiculous defenses of the ego, and you just allow this ancient truth to arise in your awareness. So just gently coming back. In this deep connected state of awareness into an awareness of your body, your breath, the senses, and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile. Scan your mind again. Notice any temptations to plan, to defend the truth in any way, defend against the truth in any way. Any fear, these defenses seem to be real. Is fear real? So just notice all of that one more time, dispassionately, and then exhale. Exhale and blow it all out. Breeze of your breath. Going gone to the nothingness that it really is. And just rest for a few moments in this deep peace and stillness of the truth. Say one more time, this is my time of awakening. I choose to remain wholly aware. I will not defend myself because I, as the extension of perfect love, need no defense against the truth of my reality. So it is. So now on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes and just take a moment to look around, observing the various objects in the room around you. And notice that this awareness, this defenseless awareness, is still there, very much still there in your awareness. What's to do, nowhere else to go. Just stay rooted in that awareness. It's there, underlying all of your sense perceptions. So whatever you look at an object. Notice the underlying nature is that your awareness is still there. Any other object, notice that awareness. Do that for half a dozen objects, and then you see the truth that God is with you wherever you go. It's pure formless awareness, perfect love. Fundamental awareness is there wherever you go. And that needs no defense. So stay in that defenseless state for the rest of the evening, carried with you into bed and into tomorrow. And I'll see you tomorrow evening. And we're doing a session from 5 o'clock. So hope to see you then, Elaine.
Yeah, see you then.
All right.
Great session. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. Namaste.
Excellent. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Bye for now. All right. So that's a wrap. It's too late to do the text. 4 paragraphs of text. So I'll send you just the text to read. So if you're not a member of the Art of Letting Go Club, then look below. You can join us for our next masterclass and find out how you can join these live sessions and go much deeper into these profound teachings of Course in Miracles. So just click on the link, thealg.com, sign up for the next masterclass, and I hope to catch you on the inside soon. Thanks so much for listening, and namaste, which means the defenseless truth and self in me acknowledges and honors that same self and truth in you. Peace.